You're listening to Bring Me the Axe. I'm Brian White. I'm one half of this morbid equation, and I'm joined by my co-host and brother, Dave. Hey, Dave, how you doing over there?
Whew.
Oh, you said it.
Oh, boy.
You said it.
Well, I do thank you for asking. Yeah, you know, tough weeks tough weekses that we have been having here in this country. I was gonna start with something else, and then I did the old switcheroo, and I was like, you know what? No, let's just do it. Let's just fucking go. I'm gonna say it up. I'm gonna say it up top. I'm gonna say it to your face. ICE can eat a whole bag of dicks. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Out there killing people.
Just straight up murdering dudes who, and then
lying about it.
In spite of the videos that are right in your face, where it's like, hey, where the here's a lady pulling away from the people who are trying to yank her out of her car, and then no, she was trying to crash into them. Very obviously, you just watched the video.
It's insane.
And then this latest one where they disarm a man who did not even have a gun in his hand. It was holstered.
Yeah, cell phone.
It was a firearm he was legally able to own.
Yeah, Second Amendment.
Registered.
Sure.
Second Amendment. He had it in his holster.
Arm bears, yeah.
Not brandishing it. Bring him to the ground. Take it out of the holster. And then they shot him.
Yeah, it's insane.
And then they tell us that he was a violent terrorist.
Yeah. And I only bring it up at the top just so we can once again, not that there's any doubt, I'm sure, in anyone's mind, but just so we can once again be very clear about where we stand on this. I think there's a whole bunch of bullshit. I am heartbroken. I feel betrayed by my government. And I just would like everyone else to know that that's where I'm at, just in case they were feeling a little lonely.
Yeah, I got to get this out because when I saw that, it was another sort of moment where I was like, what do you do? Where do we go from here?
That is a fantastic question because I don't know the answer.
Because I don't know, and it's very paralyzing, and it feels very, very bad. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be honest. I don't think you can go back. There's no going back at this point. There is no going back at this point. There have been moments in the past where our government has done heinous things to protesters, but they've been singular moments. I think of Kent State, which was, a sort of an event in a sort of broader milieu of protest, but it was one thing that happened one time. But this is a sort of a sustained campaign of terror. Yeah.
This feels like Reconstruction era terrorism.
Yeah. There was and even in those moments, there were times when, tragedy would strike and a National Guardsman would shoot a protester and state figures would react as you would expect.
Like a human being.
A person, like a human being. They would realize that something horrible had gone wrong and that this was a mistake and something needed to be done about it. But we have we have an entire body, a massive body of government.
Just the worst people you could possibly find.
And that's the worst thing about it is they suck too. They're stupid.
Yeah, they're fucking losers.
They're losers and they're fucking ugly and they carry it out and they fucking meme on the internet like that shit matters.
Yeah.
But they've now done it several times. This entire organization, ICE, is a bunch of people who are looking for opportunities to do this. The president is looking for opportunities to invoke the Insurrection
While
Act.
pooping in his pants, I might add.
While pooping in his pants. Can he not just fucking die in the toilet already?
It's going to happen probably soon.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Listen, stay focused. Stay focused. If we can focus, we can direct all of our psychic malice in his direction. It'll happen. But yeah, I reached a spot where it was just like, I don't fucking know. And there are things that I look at that I was like, maybe there are things that I can do that are productive and positive in a sort of more social sense, getting involved. But like, I live in the middle of fucking nowhere. This shit's not happening near me. And I would just be another person standing out in Market Square, while the leftist marching band japes and fucking performs in front of me.
I tell you what, here's the thing. It is a schmaltzy thing I heard, but I'm gonna share it anyway because I think it's I found it a little bit hope engendering. It was like one of those sort of retweet things from I think Blue Sky, and it was just some young woman who who wrote a thing that was just like, every time I log on to social media, I just see like the worst things possible. And then it's sort of like full stop. And then it says, but I also see countless people trying to help. So there is a flip side. Now, here's my last thought on this. I know there's a lot of people that say shit like, you have to watch like this, you have to watch this stuff. We have to be vigilant and all this stuff. It's like, I don't think you do. I don't think you need to watch videos of people getting murdered. If I have not, I find that extremely troubling. I know what it's like. I know what it looks like. I don't need to see it again. Sometimes you need to just turn it off.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Sometimes just walk away.
I stepped away. It's enough to know that it happened.
I mean, you got to go back at some point. You should keep up with the news, but you don't have to fucking keep your head in the toilet the whole time.
Yeah. And I'm not entirely all gloom and doom, because I do realize that, the history bears this, the data bears this out. The history bends toward justice. It's just that sometimes that path is very long. And
there are millions and millions of genuinely good and decent people, even though they are not the loudest ones in the room. Probably, because they're not the loudest ones in the room. That's kind of how you can tell. So, what can you do?
I know. We've avoided this for a while, but got to get it out there. It feels good. It kind of feels good to say it out loud, I suppose, instead of letting it kind of build up and fester.
You can watch Canadian movies.
You could. Let's watch a Canadian movie tonight,
Canadian
shall we?
films.
Yeah. So we practically grew up in neighborhood video stores, and the steady diet of utter garbage that those shops provided us with continues unabated to this day. And there's nobody else I enjoy chopping it up with more about trashy movies than Dave. You think this is a trashy movie?
No.
I don't think so. It's a little highfalutin in parts.
Yeah, I think
it's sexy and gory.
Got a little high on his own supply. Maybe
I think his philosophy really kind of saves it from this the lower end of film.
Yeah, he's closer to what's his fucking face? Who The Exorcist? Closer to that.
Oh, William Friedkin.
Yeah, than he is Roger Corman, I think.
I get you. Just before we get into it, it's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod. Dave's over there at That Queer Wolf.
True.
And if you don't, check us out. See if you're into us.
Yeah,
you're into us though. You love us, and we love you. You're sensational.
Just fantastic.
So terrific. And if you don't know, we got another show called 99 Cent Rental, where we cover all manner of video store madness on the weeks of Bring Me the Axes Off. Latest episode covering Massimo Dellamano's Giallo. What Have You Done to Solange?
Yeah, it's this show, but not horror movies.
Yeah, basically. And in that episode, we're going to tell you exactly what happened to Solange.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
it sucks.
It's pretty.
No, the movie's great.
The
movie's great. The movie's great, but what happened to Solange is pretty terrible.
Yeah, Italians.
God, they go hard all the time.
They really
do. Passionate people. That's out now, and we'll be back next week with a look at the Death Wish 3.
Equally passionate.
Is going to be.
You can Canon Films grasping at straws.
Canon Film firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You can also contact us directly at bringmetheaxepod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a movie that you love and would like to hear us give it the business. We've also got another show.
We do.
It's a new show.
Speaking of Canada.
I was about to say what? But yes, it doesn't get much more Canadian than that. Laughing in the Dark. It's our weekly rewatch series for the Are You Afraid of the Dark?
We got some
Nickelodeon.
We're not alone though. It's not if you ever because some people would be like, do I really have to listen to more of you two fucking chuckleheads yucking it up?
You guys think you're fucking hilarious. You think I want to listen to you laugh at your own jokes?
Well, you can listen to me laugh at Eileen's jokes then.
The last one. Holy shit. She fucking rips it out. She brightens my day.
I think it's fair to say Eileen is the breakout star of this show.
Laughing in the Dark. Every Tuesday you get episodes. We're doing it episode by episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, the 90s Nickelodeon horror anthology. It's us. It's Eileen from Weekend Horror, and it's Mikey from The Rewatcher. And
he is the breakout gentle lamb of the show.
And this tomorrow's episode is a Mikey episode. So get ready. It's fun.
That's right.
Yeah. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there. All paying members get ad-free episodes. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod, Do You Think I'm Spooky? The latest episode is a look at the season 2 episode, Red Museum.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. It's very, very confusing, but it's a good one.
It's I would say we've been on a confusing but okay run.
Yeah. Yep. There's also our monthly Bring Me the Axe Millennium Edition episode, which is a bonus episode in which we explore a modern horror movie. The current episode is a look at weapons.
Very good.
Yep. And all Patreon subscribers, even the free tier, get access to our Discord server. Paying members get access to additional channels, voice and video chat, and the watch parties option. Once again, it's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod.
Did you guys watch this movie?
We did. We watched it. We watched it on Friday night.
Sexy film.
Ooh, so sexy.
Awkwardly sexy film you watched there.
It wasn't as chatty as we usually get. There was a lot of long silences, but I instead of people just being like, feeling a little awkward at the sexiness of it, I sort of figured we were all like that scene of like Lenny waiting for his name to be announced at the awards at this one. You can't see me, but I'm doing the pensive Lenny face.
That's good.
Yeah. Yep. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So help us out. Take a second. Do it.
Please do. Please do that.
Yeah, just hit that 5-star button. Takes but a second. And, if you feel so inclined, leave a little written review.
And here's why. Because every now and then we get the people that show up in there and they're like, too woke for me, 1 star. And you can help combat that.
Yep.
I don't mind being called woke by a bigot.
Oh, they don't like ice.
I just don't want them to bring down my star rating, It's like that episode of Black Mirror.
Oh.
That's the world we live in, everybody.
Yep. If you listen on YouTube, do us a favor, give the episode a like, leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. Just want to get all that out of the way right at the top of the show because, hey, Dave.
Yep.
Who's this over here?
Well, we have a guest, but not just any guest. Listeners, you might know him from Legally Blonde or RuPaul's Drag Race or the upcoming film Grand Finale, not to mention countless hilarious videos and stage performances. It is Love Connie. Connie, welcome.
Hi. Yeah, and it's so funny to be on a podcast, and I forgot. I also have a podcast. And they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I did this, but yeah, the podcast thing still is a mystery to me. I'm like, if it's not physical media, I don't know where they are, where they exist, or if they're even real.
Oh, it's all out there. It's all out there just floating around in the ether. So we're doing a movie that I hear is quite special to you.
Yeah, I asked you to do this because you are, as far as I can tell, the world's authority on Ms. Deborah Gibson. Not Deborah Gibson, Ms. Deborah Harry. Jesus
Great
Christ.
job. Awesome. Yes.
Edit that.
Oh no, that's staying in.
It's because I just watched that video of the Circle Jerks and Debbie Gibson, right before we started.
Nice.
I thought you were going to say the video for Electric Youth, which is actually, if you want a club banger that'll bring the gays to the floor, that's it. Debbie Gibson actually did take an aerobics class for me at Equinox one time.
Feet from stardom. Quote unquote stardom.
Oh,
so Debbie Harry, that's
Deborah
why
Harry,
you're here.
Deborah Harry, I do know something about.
And this is the film. This is, I would say, the most iconic film performance of hers.
Oh yeah, she definitely. It was interesting because back in the day, it was such a big flop and people just didn't get it. And now, almost 50 years later, you think, man, did she luck out and get in the right movie, because it really is the perfect movie for someone like her. But again, she was so ahead of her time, where Blondie had broken up before MTV even launched. So as Debbie opened that door for the meeting of music, vision, art, everything, then Madonna and all those other artists, you know, since then have also done the same thing, gone into movies and done everything. But yeah, it was always interesting how, you know, she started, and she actually did all those, you know, New York independent films even before. So she was always, you know, involved in kind of underground type things. But yeah, I don't know if do you guys know the story? There were two films at the same time that she was up for, and the other one was Tron. That
I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
Because then if you think of Cindy Morgan, who was in Caddyshack and went on to star in Tron, she and Debbie Harry both look like they could be sisters. And
they have a very similar look, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's before we get too far afield, let's do the trailer, because this trailer kicks ass.
Why did you watch it, Max? Business reasons. Sure. What about the other reasons?
Max Renn is a victim.
I woke up with a headache.
He has been exposed to Videodrome.
I've been hallucinating for a while, ever since...
What?
Since I first saw Videodrome.
His brain is already receiving video images.
I think that massive doses of Videodrome signal will ultimately produce and control hallucination to the point that it will change human reality.
Soon, his visions will coalesce and become uncontrollable flesh. Videodrome is seducing Max Renn.
Please, come to me now. Come to Nikki.
And Max Renn can do nothing to stop it.
What makes you think I need help?
None of our test subjects has returned to normality.
Television can change your mind. Videodrome will change your body.
Long live the new flesh.
It will shatter your reality. Videodrome, starring Deborah Harry and James Woods. A shocking new vision from the creator of Scanners. Coming soon to a theater near you from Universal Pictures.
Oof. What a trailer.
I mean, it's batshit crazy. Because, well, first of all, I, as a fan of hers, I love that James Woods was kind of he wasn't a nobody, but he wasn't a big star yet, you know. And I love that it's really all about her, you know, and she just looks like such a badass.
Even when they like announce their names, they're like starring Debbie Harry, and it's like this picture of her like looking all sexy, and James Woods, and it's him with that like slimy flesh gun to his head.
Yeah. And I have this European poster that is all just starring Debbie Harry and everything that's really, really bizarre. But that trailer is bizarre. And that's not the trailer that I remember seeing on TV, because I was also part of the fan club and we would share VHS, you know, rips from TV and everything. So that one is so bizarre because it's like, what is that animated stuff? And then it's got that weird new wave song in there, and it's like, who is that?
I'm dying to know what that song is, because I
just
looked it up.
Very quickly looked at. I'm sure you did this too already. I just very quickly looked it up, and it seems that nobody knows who that song is.
It's probably some Canadian band. It's probably some Canadian band. You know.
God bless them.
But yeah, there was another commercial that was really cool because it started off with the ripping of the paper from the cathode ray mission.
Oh, yeah.
Where then he sees the image on the TV, but they were doing different cutaways, and that one was really cool too.
I think it's so bold for him to take her. She has a very iconic look that she's always kind of had, to take that look and then not transform her, but he kind of mutes her a little bit. Well, dyes her hair, changes her look.
She did all that because he was expecting her to be blonde, and then she showed up and he was like, well, okay, this will work.
And it super works with her character too, given
Even
how like
better.
the entire like the character, like the sort of the tone and the sort of the color of the character is red. So like she's always wearing a red dress. So her hair is red also,
Exactly.
you know, and then there's also the, you know, sort of Freudian associations with red. It's,
And Nikki
it's such a,
getting nicked or cut or branded, you know. So there.
oh my God, I never even considered that.
When you like break it apart, it's actually almost campy in a sense, which is, I have to tell you guys. So it was 1983 when it came out. And I even think I still have the original newspaper ad. It was at McMillan Mall, which McMillan Mall in Monroe, Louisiana, or West Monroe, Louisiana, was only a twin cinema. It wasn't like a multiplex like they had elsewhere, because Monroe, Louisiana, that's where my brother was in college at the time. So I was, probably a freshman or a sophomore. So my brother was dating this girl, and I wasn't close to my brother at all, but Videodrome was playing, and I had to see it. So I don't even remember how this happened, but maybe I guess I drove. Did I have a driver's license? I don't even remember. We had gone over, and we were watching the movie. And of course, when it got to that ear-piercing scene, they flipped out. And I was so embarrassed. And I was also furious because I couldn't believe, I'm like, you're older than me. You're almost out of college and you can't even watch this movie. And I remember his girlfriend, we were riding in the back. I was riding in the back seat and I was watching them. And she just kept looking at my brother going, that movie was bad. But she kept saying it like a bad movie, like you're going to burn in hell for watching something that was.
You should have told her, for God's sakes, a Canadian made this movie. It can't be that bad.
You know, the thing is I think because everyone was so familiar with scanners and the head exploding, that, you know, I don't think I had seen Shivers or They Came From Within. So the whole sexual politics that kind of run through Cronenberg's films, like even Existenz, which is like the Videodrome sequel, you know, you know, he's always had weird, like, ooh, it's a weird opening, and then something gets you out of it. So I think just people weren't prepared for that, and that is, you know, it is really kinky. But again, you know, being gay, and when other people, friends of mine, talk about it, we just get the biggest kick out of her, like going like, oh, I'm going to Pittsburgh. What's in Pittsburgh? Isn't that where they filmed Videodrome? I was made for that show. And now it's just like, she's hilarious. And, you know, the whole, got any porno? And he's like, oh yeah. And then she's like, ooh, he goes, no, I'll turn it off. No, I like it. So she's a trip. She's a real trip through the whole movie, I think. But yeah, I guess, you know, so I had that aborted first screening, you know, where I didn't get to see it. And then I guess it would have been on HBO, because I do remember one of the first VHS tapes I ever recorded, you know, like when you start recording stuff off the TV when you first get a VCR. It was, I remember, I can still see my handwriting, Splash, Halloween, and Videodrome on
what a triple play.
SLP, yeah, on SLP.
Oh, on EP mode. Yeah, I've said this I've told this many times to talk about. This is my favorite. So Cronenberg's probably one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, same.
And this is my favorite movie of his, easily. And it's also one of my favorite movies, like, period. I've watched this so many goddamn times. The thing that gets me about it is I saw this movie way too young, and it made a significant impression on me. Like, because I remember we would go to the video store, and I would just look over the video, like all the video, you know, all the titles, and look at like all the boxes and stuff like this. And the box was very nondescript. I remember it had the poster on the front, I believe, is the one that they did, but the back was just, you know, they'd give you that little, like a little shot from the movie, and the shot from the movie was just the gun coming out of the TV. Well, and I was like, what is this?
And that was all, that was all the commercials where the whole come to me and her lips and everything. So I loved all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so when it finally was announced on TV, I was like, oh shit, I am watching that. And I was like 13, I think, when I saw it, and like, here's this movie where like a dude's whipping a television, and you know, it's and like the channel that we watched it on, we had a channel very similar to CIVIC-TV that aired all of this stuff. Like there were a bunch of UHF TV stations, but this one in particular, Channel 56, which also had a monster movie show on Saturday afternoons. This was a super formative TV channel for the both of us.
Where did you grow up? Where did you grow up though? And what is this TV station?
We were in Massachusetts. So we were in a town called Marblehead, which is a little north of Boston.
Okay.
But we would get all the Boston channels. And so this one in particular, like they aired this barely edited.
Well, and do you remember what year it was? Because I have a reason that I'm questioning on.
This might have been 80, probably in 1988.
Okay, so that would have been a long time ago. Because you're aware of
this. So it's the original. It's not it's the original cut of the movie that you saw. So not the one we just watched.
Well, you know, when Sci-Fi, the old Sci-Fi channel was running it, when they would run it on TV, because it was so edited down and it was only an 89-minute movie, they had those additional scenes. So are you aware of the additional scenes with Debbie Harry that are in this old TV cut, which they've never put on the Criterion release, but apparently on the Arrow Blu-ray release out of the UK, it does have the additional scenes. It also,
I was unaware of this.
Oh, well, okay. Well, let me tell you. Do you remember a magazine called Video Watchdog?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, there's
Tim
this
Lucas's
guy.
thing.
Okay, let me pull this out. Look, let me just do this for you. Look, did you know that the U.S. novelization tie-in is there's your videotape cover, but the UK, because you know the UK loves Debbie Harry.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the funny thing about this, okay, well, you know, first it controls his mind, then it controls. She did it for love. She did it. Wait. She did it for love. Yeah. She did it for pain. She did it for Videodrome. But in this little Video Watchdog was this little tiny, and I just happened to across it because it had a cover of Videodrome. I have it filed away. But Tim Lucas, you're aware of these studies in the horror film?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. He did one of the essays in the Criterion box.
Yes. All right. So you probably have all the information. These are so good because they've done several of these, but the Videodrome one is really good. They did that whole new opening. Have you ever seen the weird opening credits where it's all the actors' faces in this mural?
Yeah.
And then it's got their voiceovers, and it's weird. It kind of cheapens the movie to me. But the thing that I love is when Max gets the phone call from not Brian Oblivion, the eyeglass dude, the bad guy,
Barry Convex.
He says, hey, you know, there's a limo waiting for you. And he goes downstairs to the limo. Well, in this TV cut, Debbie Harry's character is in the limo. And it also lightens the movie to where, again, you don't take it so seriously, where it's like, this is weird, because as soon as he gets into the limo, she's all over him, like making out with him. And she's like, oh, I just got back from Videodrome. But she's like, it doesn't work on me, apparently. And she's giving him this whole thing about how you have to continue this whole journey of what Videodrome could be, you know, this melding, I guess she was, you know, again, because no one really knew what the fuck they were talking about. But now that we have social media and avatars, it's a little easier. But yeah, she was, and apparently she's also a hallucination then.
Right.
But yeah, that stuff was fun. And I was also obsessed because there were all these stills. I still have all these stills from Videodrome. And there's one of Debbie Harry in a shower. There's one of her, you know, in the eyeglass shop with glass. So I just thought, God, there must have been so much footage that they didn't use trying to make sense of this movie. But I also really would have loved to have gotten my hands on that, whatever the first script was. Could you imagine?
So they made him cut.
Oh my God.
They made him cut a lot from this. And we could talk a little bit more about it later. He is, it seems like, still very resentful because it wasn't the censors that made him cut it. It was Universal that made him cut it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They probably looked at that script and were like, there's no way this is going to get an R rating. Yeah, before we get too far, let's run down some facts here, and then we'll get a little deeper. So, the year was 1983.
Mm-hmm.
So here were some other movies that were released in 1983. The Final Terror.
I love that movie, which they held
It's a good one.
until after Blade Runner came out, because they had known that Daryl Hannah got Debbie Harry's part in Blade Runner, because Debbie Harry's management didn't even tell her about their interest. You know, it was, and Grace Jones turned down the role that Joanna Cassidy did. She was like, "How dare they?" I would.
Oh my God!
She said that one. She goes. Grace Jones literally said that one scene, just this one scene, and then you kill me. Hell no! All right.
I know.
Sorry to interrupt.
We got. This is awesome. So also in 83, the Devonsville Terror.
I don't even remember that.
It's not good. I watched it a couple of years ago.
Devonsville.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, directed by Uli Lommel, who was he collabed with Fassbender quite often.
But do you know what I like about Uli Lommel is I recently got the one with his wife called It's a Woman's Name. It's set around London Bridge, and she's playing like a dual.
Is it Ruby?
It's not Ruby. That's Piper Laurie. Don't get me started on Curtis Harrington. I'll go off on a full tangent.
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, God. And I have another one.
Because I can see the poster. The woman's got sunglasses on.
Yes. I also want to call it Trixie, but it's not Trixie.
Nope.
What is it? There's also one back here called Brainwaves with his wife, Susanna Love. I don't think Uli, he might have directed that because her brother's in it too. But that one was one that I watched forever on HBO and just loved it. I've never seen the Devonsville Terror, though. That's weird.
It's bad.
It's
bad.
Pretty bad.
Not bad. Psycho 2.
Oh, I love
Psycho
Psycho 2.
Psycho 2, written by Tom Holland. Great fucking movie.
And one of the best,
very surprising.
One of the best soundtracks. That soundtrack makes me cry. Jerry Goldsmith's soundtrack to Psycho 2 is, I mean, to have Bernard Herrmann do the first, you know what I mean? But it's Jerry, and I like the sound. I like Psycho 3. The only one I don't like is Psycho 4 because, I'm sorry, you can't have Shakespeare's Juliet as Mrs. Bates. That does not work. Does not work.
we also had A Night to Dismember.
Oh God.
Which is Doris Wishman's heinous slasher movie that had no audio track, so they had to provide a narration over it.
A friend of mine out here years ago had the rights to Doris Wishman's life story and had written a screenplay, and I wish someone would get that together because it had some of the funniest scenes in it about her on the DL doing dirty movies while her husband was at work. And
she seems like a mean woman.
I don't know. I don't think so. I just think she was like, "Hey, I'm working here." You know,
Listen, I got sexy movies to make.
Oh my God.
And wrapping up 83, The Hunger.
The Hunger, which I still question. Like, okay, what the hell is that ending? Where are they, and who are those people? Did all the dead vampires come back to life when Catherine Deneuve, when Miriam dies? I just was like, who are those people, and where's that?
It's definitely like this the sort of movie where you get the feeling like they got to a point where they're like, all right, so. How do we end this? And he's like, I don't know. All the vampires come back and get their revenge.
But you know, I guess when we were like in the 8th grade, that was the one book that all the girls in my 8th grade class were passing around reading was The Hunger. So, you know, they were all into that vampire.
It was your Peyton place.
Crazy.
So we got a cast and crew here. Our director is David Cronenberg, as we've mentioned, making his 4th appearance on this pod. Is he the director we've covered the most up to this point?
I think so.
I think so, which is weird.
Not after this year, though. No, but
after this year, boy, we are covering somebody in particular.
But I like that we've bounced through a bunch of different eras. We've spent most of our time on the early Cronenbergs because that's my favorite era, but we did Crash as well. So this will be interesting to talk about these because I don't want to be a little divisive here, but I don't think this is a good movie. I don't like this movie that much.
Oh, Videodrome or Crash?
Yeah, Videodrome.
Oh,
I will explain why.
I think Crash is a piece of shit.
I do kind of like Crash.
Absolutely hate that movie.
Because I also like Crash quite
Well,
a bit.
the thing about Crash is I was in New York at the time, and I remember, the hoopla about it. But what I was obsessed with and still think, it had one of the greatest movie posters of all time. Deborah Kara Unger nude behind the caution. Remember the big caution symbol or something? And then the other actors. Now, my thing is I don't think any of those actors other than Unger, Rosanna Arquette, and Elias Koteas are sexy. So fucking and car crashes, and you're not that. To me, you should have had Debbie Harry in Crash. You know what I mean? I just thought, because his movies are all cold. It's just that there's just
that one in particular.
That one is the coldest movie. And I wanted to love Rosanna Arquette in it because I thought the whole wound in her but I just was like, maybe it's a J.G. Ballard thing that I just don't understand. Explain it to me.
Well, I'll talk about in a little bit why I don't think this is a very good movie, but I do think this is the best representation of this era of Cronenberg's filmmaking. But I also think this is when he starts to kind of sort of stray from what he knows and what is familiar. And I think that's sort of where he goes wrong a little bit, is that he doesn't invest a lot of time in research, and so he rushes into things. Also, the production history of this sounds like it was kind of a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So by this point in his career, Cronenberg is several movies deep. The previous picture, Scanners, was his first significant success. It drew a lot of interest his way from American studios and actors.
Right.
And just like David Lynch, George Lucas came knocking, and Cronenberg was up to direct Return of the Jedi, which makes me wonder what Lucas was on, thinking that those two directors would be great.
It's a very sexy Jedi. Oh my God. A weirdly sexy Jedi, but
But wasn't also Scanners was not a major, that was still an independent Canadian production.
Right. This is his first.
Yes, this is his first studio picture.
Why.
It's also his last tax shelter movie.
Well, yeah. And, I love Canucksploitation like a motherfucker. But I think that's why Videodrome had so many problems. Because number one, how can you research the future? Number two, did they even look at his, Shivers has got the little turd penis that's, you know what I mean? So it always bums me out when it's like, well, what did you think you were getting into? But now.
Oh yeah, I know. Like they look back on his movies and go, let's give this guy more money than he's ever had.
But to be fair to them, he did go on to do what? Didn't he do the Madame Butterfly movie?
Oh yeah.
Well, he did The Fly. Wasn't The Fly right after Video? No, was it Dead Ringers?
The Fly was
Dead.
Fly was 86. Dead Ringers, I think, is 88.
88.
Well, what the hell was after Videodrome for Cronenberg? The Dead Zone, which is brilliant. I've watched that twice recently. It's so wild because that movie, you could tell it was Stephen King, and the novel must have been this long, and they're like, we can only tell that because it's literally it jumps around to so many characters. Also, that movie has one of the most. I'm all for having only kids be AI in film now, because I think about that poor child being hung up by Martin Sheen and going, remember they're trying to assassinate him and he grabs the baby and the kid.
I think of that scene every day.
That's rough.
This is America now.
That movie's rough for me. I'm like, stop with the terrorizing of the kids. I just can't imagine.
Yep. So our cast includes James Woods, who is absolutely fucking ruined by Twitter in an ironic reflection of Videodrome. For his and
team, let me just say for the record, Team Sean Young, shut the fuck up, everybody. When you go to her I love how that, it's so easy to call the woman crazy. And then I'm going, oh yeah, James Woods, Charlie Sheen, Oliver Stone, and Harvey Weinstein. Oh yeah, class acts. It had Sean. Right. Sean had to have been the problem.
But also, get better friends, Sean Young.
Before his transformation into a world-class MAGA piece of shit, Woods was best known for playing smarmy weirdos and blew up thanks to his part in the 1978 Holocaust miniseries, and then Leone's Once Upon a Time in America.
He's
of all
also in the
movies-
Onion field around that time
the one
too.
I
He's
was gonna
good in that.
remember, because that was the big one that was playing on HBO a lot. And did he get an Academy Award nomination?
I think he was nominated
No.
for it, wasn't he?
No. Well,
For the Onion Field.
I think I think you might
Nominated
be right.
for it. He didn't. Win.
I was thinking it was Once Upon a Time in America, but that one
I love
famously got
that movie
snubbed.
so much. Once Upon a Time in America is so brilliant.
I have such a hard time with this guy because I fucking love James
He's
Woods'
great.
performance.
He is a great actor.
And a terrible person, and that
he
just
is.
kind of ruins everything.
I know, but you know
like
what?
I recently watched Cop and I was like, he's so fucking terrifying in this movie, but God, what a fucking asshole.
Now, wait a minute. I get Cop because he did another, I think it's Cop. Is Cop with Leslie Ann Warren?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait,
where she plays the bookstore owner. Yeah, that's a real LA. Oh, it's James Elroy, isn't it? Cop based on a James Elroy novel.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's Blood on the Moon.
Yeah.
Is the book that it's adapted.
That's
from.
a really, really good. I mean, it's a really good movie. Cop. And then Salvador. I never saw that one, but
I just watched that
Yeah.
a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I remember that one being in like being very heavily sold in video stores. I never got around to
It's
seeing
not
it.
very good.
Me neither. I never got around to that one either.
Of all the movies to attract Woods to this movie, it was Cronenberg's Rabid, and I get it. That
Hey,
movie is great.
That's one of my favorite Cronenberg movies.
Mine too. I absolutely love Rabid. My favorite. I have to do my Marilyn Chambers impersonation. I just love the scene where she's in the hospital bed. I know, but it's just like, I don't know what's going on or anything. And it's just like, honey, it's like, you don't have to do that in this movie. But I just love that one scene where
Can we please clip that and use it for social media?
she's covered up, and then all of a sudden she's just like, I know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. He always claims that he didn't choose her because of her porn career. He says again, he didn't choose Debbie Harry because she was a singer. And it's like, girl, yes, you did. And it's okay to just say that you did.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little stunt casting, guys. Come on.
Well,
Fine.
remember they said they originally wanted Sissy Spacek for Shivers, and that's why they always liked the one scene where Marilyn Chambers is walking in front of a movie theater and it's playing Carrie.
And she looks, I love that scene because she looks so fucking cool.
The fucking fur
With the
coat.
fur
Her hair
coat.
is just perfect.
Yeah.
Her. And even that final
Okay, go back and listen to our Shivers episode. It's a fucking doozy.
even that final episode where they're throwing her in the back of I just love how she's got her body so rigid and she's in the little denim jumpsuit. You know what it's as if
and they just unceremoniously throw her in the garbage.
Now, speaking of other hot, because see, the thing that I also love about Cronenberg is Cronenberg has had the hottest leading ladies in all of his films, like even Fast Company. People don't like it, but William Smith and Claudia Jennings, I'm like, that's hot. But
Oliver Reed.
Oh God! Oh, The Brood! I totally forgot that again.
That's my favorite Cronenberg movie.
Oh my God! Talk about disturbing, fucking up the kids. Hey, let's have a room full of kids and let's just have these two monsters beat the shit out of this poor, teacher.
We've already spoken at length about Debbie Harry, but she is a woman who needs no introduction, or so I thought. I was in the R Horror Discord server some time ago when a couple of people in their 20s watched Videodrome in their version of the watch party. And when it was over, they asked in the channel if she ever did anything else.
Nope,
and
not a thing.
I seemed to be the only person there who was familiar with her, and that struck me as fucking insane.
Well, they still don't know her name. They just know Blondie, and then they're like, "Oh yeah."
It wasn't even that. They were just like, I wonder if that actress ever went on to do anything else. And I was like,
well, Hairspray, it's like, come on.
It's not like she wasn't in anything else.
She's in great stuff.
She plays that great kind of lesbian truck driver in Spun.
Yeah, Spun, where she beats the dudes up that are harassing the Mexican girls. Like, I love that. And she rescues, that was my favorite part of Spun, the poor girl that they tied nude to the bed. And remember, they turn up the heavy metal music, so that people can't hear her screaming for her life. And then they keep coming back into that room. And as an audience member, you keep thinking, okay, they're going to set her free. And remember, like the third time they go back in there, they slam the door and the heavy metal music starts skipping. And by this time,
that movie is so intense and upsetting.
Listen, I was with a friend of mine.
Is that the Jonas Ackerlund?
Yes,
the Crystal Meth movie.
movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was with a friend of mine, and when they slammed the door and the music started skipping, we all just were like, "Oh my God!" And my friend turns to me and he goes, "That poor girl."
Let's see. Last in our cast, we got Les Carlson, who is a Bob Clark regular.
Yep.
He's the phone company guy in Black Christmas.
I was so excited when I saw him. I was like, it's the guy from Black Christmas.
Yes.
He's the tree salesman in A Christmas Story, and he plays several characters on The X-Files featured in recent episodes of Do You Think I'm Spooky?
Mm-hmm.
You can also catch him on Friday the 13th, the series, and the insane vigilante revenge movie Rolling Vengeance.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That movie is awful.
It is so fucking terrible, but it's a monster truck with a gigantic phallic drill bit on the front. So we got a couple of taglines here. First, it controls your mind. Then it destroys your body. Not bad.
I mean,
not bad. And then
that's
lastly,
true. That's basically what happens.
yeah, it's concise and to the point. And we got one more. A shocking new vision. Yeah. The seed of this movie came from Cronenberg's childhood. Growing up in Toronto, he could occasionally pick up broadcast signals from nearby Buffalo, New York stations, stating that he worried that he might see something on those broadcasts that was shocking or not meant for public consumption.
So I actually have a bet. I was reading a thing that he had written about that. It was really interesting because he said that because the signals, like the idea of television back then was sort of like you didn't really watch late at night like that. Like it just wasn't on. Like,
No, because it went off the air.
But he said because of that, it was the signals were coming from so far away that either you would get signals from places where obviously there were cultural differences, and so it looked weird whenever you were watching, or they were so blurry and distorted because the signal is so weak that the viewer kind of inevitably ended up projecting something onto that, like your own ideas onto that. So he's like, so whatever you watched, you came away with this whole new, like kind of a little bit unsettling vision of a different world sort of out there somewhere. And I was like, God damn, that is an awesome way to describe this sort of idea that you had, because that's a very cool story.
Yeah, like doing the research for this, I did get a little sort of nostalgic for that time because like the town that we lived in was one of the last ones in Massachusetts to get cable. And so like until about like 1986 or 87, we only had like fucking antennas on the TV. And so like depending on the weather, you could get like a channel like way south of Boston, like something broadcasting out of Dedham or something like that. Or you'd get something from Western Mass.
And nobody wants that.
I know what
coming to you live from Smith College.
Keep that shit to yourself. But also I am but like the thing about it that really kind of gets me is the signal was bad and the audio was always like shh, like you never really got it. And there was a real spooky kind of quality to that.
Yeah.
Like, it was very ghostly. And I'm also super, super fascinated by signal intrusion.
Yep.
Like the Max Headroom intrusion in Chicago, which is wild because that was a major TV station that they had to sort of override in terms of power. It's scary what they did. It's very,
even
very
though a lot
weird.
of those stuff, those signal intrusion stories, a lot of them are just like bizarre pranks that just kind of out of context don't make any sense. Like the one of the dude on Chicago TV that's getting like spanked as he's telling some story.
That's the Max Headroom intrusion.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really not, there's nothing like high tech about it. You literally just have to broadcast at that frequency with more power than the original station. That's it.
And if the original station goes off the air at a certain time, then you inevitably have the most power.
Yeah. And it was like such a very weird, uncanny thing. Videodrome is based.
That's also, and speaking of another movie that came out at that time that was on that 2-page, we have to find this 2-page Fangoria ad because it was all black, and then the printing of all the movies logos were silver shiny. It was so beautiful. But Poltergeist, that was also the creepiest thing about Poltergeist is when they're all asleep and then bum 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 bum. That's weird that they're playing the Stars and Stripes, and then it's just static, and then again you're like, what is something? Am I hearing something coming through here?
Well, they're both
like
that idea of like what's coming into your home, which
Yeah.
is very much the point of this movie, is this idea of
And
like,
what does it do? Yeah.
what is this violence doing? What I think is super interesting about this particular movie, in his career at least, is that up until this point, his movies they were more about like the way that science and technology kind of affect people in their emotional lives or in their psychology. This is the first time, I guess he kind of gets a little bit into it in Scanners, but this is the first time he really goes full on into that idea of like science and technology, not just kind of changing our psychology, but also changing the body itself. And that, I think, might be a little bit for me where he starts to kind of go down a rabbit hole that he's not ready for because he doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah, but here's the kind of fun thing about Videodrome, and I think it plays into what you're saying or what you can't believe is what is he hallucinating and what is real? I mean,
True.
Is his hand really part of the gun? You know what I mean? I mean, that's
I've got like little notes about like there are things that to some people might look like continuity errors in the movie, but I think that they're actually just subtle hallucinations that we're supposed to kind of pick up on.
Right.
Or I think too, maybe some of that could be a little bit apocryphal stuff where it's like they were kind of flaws or maybe continuity things. And in the end, he was just like, no, maybe it's a hallucination.
Yeah. I mean,
which good on
easy to
him,
write it right
save your
off.
story.
But the fun thing about the hallucinations is when there are other people in the scene, like, okay, so one part that people say, okay, is this a hallucination, is after he shoots Barry Convex and when Harlan blows up, because he kind of walks through the hole that's been blown, and you see a mother and the daughter, and the little girl's running toward it. She's like, come here. So they're saying that couldn't be a hallucination because there are street scenes. And the same thing where I think Debbie Harriet asked one time, is my entire character a hallucination? You're like, well, no, you can't hallucinate the Rena King show, right? That's
right.
A TV show, and you can't. Okay, another thing that I love about Debbie's character, I'm host of the Emotional Rescue Show.
We will get to that in a little bit because I have a lot to say about the Emotional Rescue Show.
Why didn't she ever just do, hi, I'm Debbie Harry, and here's the Emotional Rescue Show. I just love that. So and they, and he does show up and they were like, oh, she had 2 weeks vacation showing up. So I'm like, okay, she was a real person. But after the kinky scene that she, goes off, none of that, she's dead,
Yeah, I think that as much as I do love this movie, I think that there are some kind of half-baked concepts that are in it that are supposed to be sort of reflective of his references to Marshall McLuhan's work, which I wanted to get sort of deep into in this one because it's so sort of central to the movie, but I can't really understand
what's
much
also
of what that guy.
Funny about that, really quick, is when she was on Letterman, I believe, she kept saying McLuhan, and I thought it was an adjective because she goes, oh, there's some very McLuhan. I thought she said McLuhan, and I'm going, what is McLuhan? What does that mean? And I couldn't figure it out. And that's why I always loved her, because I always knew, I'm like, Debbie Harry is a really deep, intelligent, she knows about, she and Chris were all into, that type of McLuhan stuff. But then, Marshall McLuhan also has that bit part in Annie Hall in the Woody Allen film where he just pops out of a bush. And he goes, well, actually.
Oh, it's when they're in line at the movies.
Which is also, so I don't really know a lot about that either, but that was definitely, in that zeitgeist of them trying to figure out what kind of movie we're making. So
I think too, one of the things that's really important to remember as we go through this movie is that the way that this was made, so this is his last tax shelter movie. And the thing about the tax shelters was, in order to qualify for it, you had to finish the movie before the year was over. And so they started shooting, I think, in October or November. And so they went into production without a full script. He is rewriting and writing, and he had not even really thought the whole movie through before they started production. So a lot of this stuff that's sort of like, what's going on here? I'm sure a lot of it is just stuff that he had to abandon or that he just didn't like and rewrote. So there is a little bit of these ideas that are kind of half-baked, which is my real criticism of this movie, is a lot of the ideas are super interesting, but not very well developed. And it's probably because he had to just keep going in order to get done by the time they needed to get done. So you didn't have, it had to be done, I believe you had to be done with production, but post-production could go into the next year. So it didn't have to come out that year, but you did have to wrap production before the end of the year in order to qualify for the film credit. And so he's rushing to get everything done by the end of the year, which made it sounds like it was a bit of a nightmare production because they're rushing through. He's kind of throwing out all these really esoteric at the time kind of ideas about S&M and about, different kind of pornography that people were a little bit like, no, what is this? What are you doing? And these are all people that he knew very well, because this is the same production team from The Brood with a couple different people. And he was like, even those people thought I was kind of losing my mind a little bit because he was constantly rewriting everything and these ideas were really foreign to them. And so it sounds like a lot of chaos that kind of birthed this really interesting movie with a lot of ideas that are kind of like, that's interesting, but you really maybe should have given more thought to them because you go down this road and then abandon them all of a sudden, or they don't really go anywhere, which is, I think, my disappointment. But there's a core of really interesting stuff, but he does seem like a lot of it just kind of gets lost because he needs to just keep pushing to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is, he has said as much, in various interviews over time. So it is what it is. It's just the way it worked at the time.
Yeah. Videodrome is based on a treatment Cronenberg wrote in the early 70s called Network of Blood.
Bad title, man. That's a bad title.
The theme was very similar. A station manager of a small TV network discovers a private network of snuff for rich subscribers. Cronenberg did eventually explore this treatment in the late 70s on a Canadian anthology TV show called Peep Show in an episode called The Victim. I tried to find it online, but the only Peep Show episode I could find is another Cronenberg episode called The Lie Chair.
Ooh.
And it's spooky. It's a creepy episode. Absolutely amazing special effects by Rick Baker. Fucking fantastic score by Howard Shore.
Yeah, this is my favorite Howard Shore score.
This is probably my favorite Howard Shore.
And I like all of his scores that he did for Cronenberg. Well, Crash isn't very good, but this one is outstanding.
Just
creepy, this and Dead Ringers.
But I loved how he said he started the music out from the beginning of the movie is all strings, and as the movie progresses, it becomes totally electronic.
Like synth.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love the way, I think for Cronenberg, he felt like Howard Shore really kind of understood him in that same way that like Angelo Badalamenti understood David Lynch. And you just keep going, go with the guy who knows what you want.
I agree.
And you can't fail because all of those records that he did for him are so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Andy Warhol called it a Clockwork Orange for the 80s.
And he wasn't a hack at all.
So, where'd the press land on this?
Oh, well, I will tell you all about it. Here we go, everybody.
I was going to say, I've got clippings right here.
Oh, I'm going to read you a bunch of them. But I do want to say before I go into the actual ones, so they did the test screening in Boston.
Yes.
Oh, no shit.
If you're a filmmaker, don't ever do a test screening in Boston. So when they did it during
Boston in the winter?
It wasn't in the winter, but actually it might have been in the winter. But they did it. There was a shutdown, a transit strike. And so there were tons of people who couldn't go to work. And so they had kids that they had to stay home. And so this was advertised as a free movie, basically. And he said a bunch of women were showing up with 4 and 5-year-old children to see this movie. And so he said, I got to find the quote because it's actually very, very funny. So he said it was a complete disaster. I don't know if there was one card that said anything nice. And he said one of them just said, "I hated your fucking film." And I thought, yeah, that sounds like Boston.
Oh, but wait, speaking of Andy Warhol, now this was in the next day's paper. Tune into Videodrome. You'll never be the same. Deborah Harry is a wow. I love Andy Warhol. David Cronenberg's latest Videodrome is a genuinely compelling excursion into techno horror. Us magazine.
Us Magazine reviewed this?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have the People magazine review before it drowns into a tide of bloody gore and drippy foolishness, and it doesn't take long. There are some but listen to this. There are some signs of a biting black satire. See, to me, you know, but I think that's the thing about Cronenberg that's so great. It's like De Palma. They can freak you out with some shit, but you're like, there's humor. There is, I mean, even the kids beating the school teacher to death with those little mallets. You know what I mean? You're just like, what damage could we possibly do with these? About
so
to show
that's
you,
actually that's the basic gist of the reviews in general. So I'll read you the New York Times one. It says, Mr. Baker and Mr. Cronenberg, while easily fulfilling the film's horror requirements, try in addition for a more ironic, satirical style, and at times they achieve it. Though Videodrome finally grows grotesque and a little confused, it begins very well and sustains its cleverness for a long while. It's my girl, Janet Maslin.
All right.
Let me tell you, here we go. This is the Toronto Star. This is Ron Bass. It says, it may come as a disappointment to the gore aficionados that this time, even with special effects makeup wizard Rick Baker along, Cronenberg is not quite up to the job. Worse, after a great start, Cronenberg cannot take his view of our video obsession any further than the usual secret and evil forces out to control our minds, the same forces prevalent last year in his own Scanners, not to mention countless others. This is sort of where I land. This is the Chicago Tribune. This is Mr. Gene Siskel.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Videodrome builds up steam as a story. We are dealing, Cronenberg makes us believe, with something that, if not likely, is certainly imaginable. But Videodrome takes its poisoned video story nowhere interesting, ultimately turning into a routine thriller laced with a few typical Cronenberg special effects. As the slime and goo quotient of Videodrome mounts up, credibility of the story goes out the window, and you get the feeling that Cronenberg is simply trying to mask an incomplete story with shock after shock. That's also kind of how I feel about this
Remarkably on point and restrained for the Gene.
For Gene Siskel, yeah. Now let me give you my last one. This is the inimitable trendsetter, the IMDb user.
Oh, shit.
Cheesy, low-budget, satanic S&M flick that features a protagonist that has, with help of a tech engineer, managed to tune into a snuff film live video feed. Not for everyone. I didn't like it at all. Turned it off. It's not to everyone's taste.
They definitely got their finger on the fucking pulse.
Yeah. But yeah, the gist is that it starts off strong and then it just sort of descends into confusion, which is sort of would make sense given that he went into it with a script and a story that was not done.
Yeah.
And he's writing as he's filming, and which is why he kind of goes off the rails a little bit.
This one review from this Mobile Register has an interview with Rick Baker. And he says, during principal photography, the schedule was changing every day. We could be told to have a certain thing ready for that day's shooting, and then we'd end up shooting another thing that we didn't have finished. It got crazy sometimes. The script wasn't finished the last day of shooting. Cronenberg changed the last scene, and they got only one shot that whole day. But Cronenberg was calm. But I like, it says over here, it's like, the movie goes into more than the relatively simple issue of morality, like the ways in which television does alter us physically. It's what Marshall McLuhan was talking about. Television is an extension of our nervous systems and our senses. That's like super interesting when you apply that to what he was doing with the movie, how and I guess, the sadomasochism and everything that does play into like his own body horror. You know what I mean? Like how he's basically fisting himself in the stomach with the vagina.
Yeah.
So he projects a lot of himself into his movies, whether he knows it or not. And I get the feeling he maybe doesn't know it, but because he got a ton of blowback for this movie in particular, because people felt like it was misogynistic and sexist. And so his response to this movie, or to those critiques, was sort of like, well, like, I am a heterosexual man, and these are the things that would interest, or that do interest me as a heterosexual man, and that it just sort of makes sense that if someone was pushed to their darkest fantasies, it would be like this. And he kind of understands the criticism on an intellectual level, but he can't seem to get beyond this. This is a very kind of straight man thing. This idea that, like, all things are equal. It's like, but they're not equal. And you don't seem to recognize that like, you as a straight man are making this movie. A woman would not make this movie for a million different reasons. A lot of them have to do with their social position. And so he couldn't really he could hear the criticism and was fine with taking it, but he didn't seem to understand that what they're saying is not, your movie is sexist because you're a man making this thing that sexualizes women. It's more like, you're a person in power and a woman is not in power. Like, this is not how they would present themselves.
But
you're
Debbie
presenting
Harry's
this in a
character
very
is
different way.
totally in power.
Well, so he actually has a quote about Debbie Harry's character. He says,
So is Bianca Oblivion.
Well, he says, if I show Debbie Harry as a character who burns her breast with a cigarette, does that mean that I'm suggesting that all women want to burn their breasts with cigarettes? Now, this is true, but he's sort of speaking and acting as though his film was created and will be viewed in a vacuum, when in fact it won't be. It is a product of culture. It is a product of how women are viewed in culture. And that, I think, is what there, of course, were a ton of reactionary people who just saw it and freaked out. But a lot of the more thoughtful criticism is really about, how are you presenting a woman or a woman's sexuality in this way? And would a woman really present themselves? Maybe. But he can't really see beyond this idea that, like, I want it to be this way because it should be this way. And I mean it in a very specific way. And it's kind of like, sort of interesting that he checks Marshall McLuhan a lot, because the idea that he can put something out into the world and it will be interpreted in a million different ways seems completely lost on him. So there's a little bit of irony basing your whole thing in McLuhan's work, when you're sort of just like, I mean for it to be this so that every person who watches it will understand what I mean. It's like, no, girl, they won't. They're going to understand what they understand,
right?
Not what you mean.
Yes.
And so that was where a lot of the criticism comes from, is that it's not really about what you're presenting so much as it is like what it means in the world at the time. And he could never seem to understand that. Same thing with The Brood, same thing with Rabbit. He just sort of like, he knows what he wants to make, and any other interpretation is just wrong, and he doesn't understand how they got there.
All right, so we're going to dive into this movie right after these messages. All right, so you ready?
Let's hit it.
All right. We open on a video wake-up call. Max Renn's assistant, Bridie, rattles off his schedule for the day.
Actually, before that, we open actually on the CIVIC-TV little ad.
Right.
And what I thought was really interesting is that it's CIVIC-TV, the one you take to bed with you. And I thought it was strange that like, you are in, like, once we turn the movie on, the first thing you're confronted with is this concept of television being something that is no longer sort of contained to one room during certain hours. It's the kind of thing that you now can just bring into your bedroom or bring wherever you are, which again, kind of forecasting this idea of like dragging our fucking phones around and stuff.
Yeah. So Max has to meet up with some pornographers today to scout out some new programming for his crazy-ass TV network, CIVIC-TV.
And he's just enjoying a little porno with his pizza breakfast.
I was going to say, you guys aren't going to comment about the dunking the pizza crust in the coffee and then eating it?
Disgusting.
That's all
Disgusting.
I'm going to do.
But
because for the first half of this movie, there's just food scattered everywhere for some reason.
I love his apartment.
I hate his apartment.
Oh my God, no, I love it too.
It's amazing.
I love it. I love it. He's got the glass bricks.
The glass
I hate
bricks.
those
I can't figure out. It's a small apartment. I can't figure out if it's a one bedroom or if it's just this cool kind of. But yeah.
He has invested nothing in the decor, and his placement of furniture upsets me.
He's got an Atari.
Yeah.
And he has food just scat. He also probably has rats, given how much food is all over the place.
So Max gets up and he makes a cappuccino, scans some promotional photos for the new video prospect. And he heads over to a seedy motel where he meets up with a couple of gentlemen while a dude pounds on the door of his room demanding that his wife let him in.
This is not my beautiful Toronto. This is, I don't know what that is.
That's the real Toronto.
Don't you dare.
Now, also just of note in that Tim Lucas breakdown of what's different from the theatrical version than this TV cut, there was different music, or there may not have been underscoring as he's coming to meet those guys.
So they're using what they use for that cut. That cut, he was very upset about that. So they made him cut this, and he referred to it as the worst betrayal. And it was because the censors were fine with a lot of the stuff, but one guy at Universal was upset about it.
In the scene coming up, it was like the lady pulls out like a big dildo, and the guy apparently was just like, "Oh shit,
so
that's
he
penis.
made
I am
him,
uncomfortable with."
He made him cut a bunch, and so when you see certain scenes that have no music or weird music, it's because when they did the test run, there was no actual soundtrack for it yet. And so they dropped some of that stuff back into it to make it either longer for whatever reason. So the Arrow version has a bunch of that stuff kind of cut back in. Mm-hmm. And if it sounds like there's no music or there's weird like music that doesn't belong because it's just sort of placeholder stuff, that's why. It's stuff that ultimately he ended up cutting. And some of that stuff he wanted to cut. So the Criterion one is the one I think that it's like his approved version.
Yeah.
And
but
the Arrow one is
it's the same version as
it's mostly the same.
The director's cut, and I'm like, where you see the head of the dildo? I mean, like, really?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's been like the biggest disappointment is every time they've re-released this movie, it's just the same cut. And that's why I still haven't gotten the Arrow version, but now with YouTube, you can see all those additional scenes. But, I still want, I'm like when I watch some of the later Halloweens and they do, I didn't really like them, but I liked when they got 1978 when they did a different flashback. And I'm like, I want to go put all those cuts into the original Halloween just because I want more of 1978. So I'm kind of like, I just want the cut with everything, even if it doesn't make sense. I just want to see everything you guys did.
Yeah, like what was it? Years and years ago, we ran. I used to do an outdoor like guerrilla drive-in on the back of my car with a friend of mine, and we showed the Warriors, and it was a composite cut of all the available footage. So it was like the regular movie with all of the TV stuff.
Is this the one that has the comic book bullshit in it, though?
No, it had none of that. This was like a fan thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, they run a tape of the show. It's called Samurai Dreams.
Well, he says, show me episode 13 or whatever. And I love the fact that the guy's like, well, no, if I show you that one, you won't understand the plot. I love the fact that there's this idea that like the audience is not going to understand the plot of your weird Japanese softcore porn if you start later on.
Aren't you also obsessed with that little briefcase that has all the little beta tapes?
It's so great.
It's awesome.
So great. A woman removes the parts of a doll on her table to reveal an ornate wooden dildo and proceeds to pleasure herself.
But except why is this dildo so weird looking?
It's so well, now that he said it was wooden, I thought it was some type of early rubber. I didn't know what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And do you know what I always think of anytime it goes into Samurai Dreams is I always think of that really awful Susan George movie, The House Where Evil Dwells.
Oh, that is a terrible film.
Terrible dubbing. But yes, Samurai Dreams.
Yeah. So a guy named David Sabucci, he plays one of the dealers, and he later campaigned and won for a minister position in Ontario's provincial government. And his opposition used this role as Oppo against him. As if he was really a fucking pornographer.
How very Republican of them.
Back in the CIVIC-TV offices, he shows it to his associates. They watch, bored, unimpressed. And one of them says, I think Oriental sex is unnatural.
which is both hilarious and offensive.
Unbelievably racist.
Especially when there's just one girl and a wooden dildo involved. I'm like, well, yeah that's unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's on the Arrow version too, but if you get the Criterion, you can see like the entire 5-minute version of Samurai Dreams.
It's on the Criterion, yes, it is.
Did they film? That's not a real thing though, is it?
What?
Is Samurai Dreams, that's not real, is it?
No. It's just it was a
they
short
shot
they
it
made
for
it,
the thing.
but they shot it, and there's like additional scenes that just eventually got cut. And then the other guy says, this is not tacky enough. It has too much class.
Which I think tells you about, so this is some of the stuff that I think is really smart that gets kind of buried a little bit, is the idea that like what they're essentially trying to do. And I think one of the things that is sort of not focused on enough is the idea that corporate interests will sort of latch on to these things that are, the technology and science that he is so kind of warning us about, that they will keep pushing it for profit, even when it should not be pushed any further. And this is kind of an example of that, this idea of like, they just keep upping the ante because they don't have anything else. Like they don't have big stars, they don't have big shows. So they're just trying to find whatever they can to build an audience. And you see that shit now with people just like, AI slop and garbage like that. And like people making dumb videos, like whatever it is, they'll keep pushing that further and further. And it's like, how far are you going to push it? And how far does it go until it hits a kind of a dangerous point?
Well, the best scenario of something like that is Network. Faye Dunaway's character, where she's like, oh, this guy's going fucking nuts. We're keeping him on the air. Oh, he's going to kill him.
Right.
We're going to get
That's the classy version of it.
Yeah, the classy version. Just that type of...
The guy who actually had a heart attack after that scene.
Yeah. But it's that thing of where, I mean, we see it today. It's like with what's going on in Minneapolis, it's like, I mean, we're seeing people murdered on the street because it's like, now it's just back then, it wasn't, really.
Or what can you exploit for clicks or views? And that's essentially what they're doing. And they don't really spend much time on that. But I think it's one of the more interesting parts of the story is that because Max Renn, from the moment we meet him, he's a scumbag. Like he's just, he is sort of the protagonist, but he sucks.
Yeah, there is an undercurrent to this that has sort of been forgotten, mostly because it's completely fucking irrelevant these days. But the thing that has to be sort of remembered and contextualized in this movie is this movie was produced and released during this sort of videotape revolution. Like consumer video was like a brand new thing. And so
porn,
there was this idea.
Remember porn on video. So now people didn't have to go out to theaters to see dirty movies anymore.
Which is a goddamn shame.
And immediately there was this moral panic that out there in America, people were selling videos that were produced of people being murdered. The snuff film thing, right?
Well, it was not helped by the actual movie called Snuff.
Which claimed it was real.
Yeah.
Until you see it and you're like, God damn it.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen.
I got fooled again. But yeah, like that's sort of like the undercurrent.
I mean, because then we get Faces of Death and all of this stuff. And that's the part of this. Like, I think it's pretty interesting avenue that he's got so many ideas that are going in different directions that he just keeps jumping from one to another and keeps moving on. Yeah. Because I'm sure there was some producer that was like, move faster, go faster.
Yeah. So they all agree that it's too soft. Max is looking for the next thing, something tough. Elsewhere in town, a satellite dish scans the sky, sending the signals it receives down to a room.
I always assumed satellite dishes, I guess, like those kinds were just stationary.
Most are, but in this case, like if you're a TV station that is receiving satellite, your satellite is geostationary, so it never moves. You just point your dish at it.
Because that one moves.
In Harlan's case, his is moving around looking for different satellites in the sky. Yeah. So it sends the signals it receives down to a room full of video equipment. Max hangs with Harlan, a video pirate. He has something new for Max. He managed to catch a signal on tape for nearly a minute before the broadcast seemed to realize they were being spied on and change their encryption. Harlan thinks that the broadcast is from Malaysia.
I love that it's Malaysia because it's like it's foreign enough to seem exotic, but familiar enough to kind of like evoke this stereotypical idea.
Going back to Snuff, what did the old box and the poster say? Made in South America, where life is cheap.
Or in California, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Actually, was that made? That was a Findlay movie. Wasn't it?
It started as a Findlay movie, and then it got hijacked by that fucking scumbag guy who used to buy up movies and then like cut in other shit to them and make them porn, basically. I can't remember his name, but that's how.
I know. I want to know.
I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, he would like go buy like indie movies. He'd buy the rights to them, and then he would present them. He'd like go film another 20 minutes of footage or whatever, and it's usually sex stuff, and he would cut it into the movie. And that's how, like, because that was what, Italian producers used to do that a lot, and some French producers used to do it a lot as well. And so he would do that and then pitch it as a totally different movie, and then he would make a ton of money because it's porn, basically. And then the people who actually made the movie made nothing. Sometimes they just get killed in a helicopter crash.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but that's the story with Snuff, is that he essentially bought a Findlay movie and you market it as something completely different by cutting in this really kind of grotesque murder at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So Max watches the tape. The two men in black hoods and aprons shackle a struggling woman to a clay wall, which Harlan thinks might be electrified.
And Harlan's just a lovable goofball, for a while.
Yeah. They drag her away and then they brutalize her as the signal goes dead. So Max wants it, so Harlan is tasked with seeking it out and beating the scramble so he can record an entire broadcast. And then Max heads over for an appearance on the talk show called The Rena King Show, where he will talk about violence on TV with radio personality Nikki Brand and media philosopher Brian Oblivion.
And
Brian Oblivion is Marshall McLuhan, basically.
Yeah. And do you think Max Renn is a sleazeball, but does he have a booking agent or something? I mean, like, how did
he does have that lady, the one who offers to get him.
Bridie is the shit. You know what I mean? And it's like they got a real active. The other thing that I just love about Videodrome is, as a kid, didn't you guys love looking at all the movie posters that were on the wall in the office?
This time around, I loved looking at. You see,
Something Wicked This Way Come. Oh no, It Waits. No, it's Something Wicked, or is it Waits in the Dark? I can't remember. I think
so. It Waits is the one. It Waits is the black poster. There's Death Sport. Is that what it's called?
The one with David Carradine.
Yeah, the Corman movie with Carradine. And there was a couple others. Like, clearly they just, like, someone just gave them, they had them at like Cinepix or something.
I think Boogeyman, the Uli Lomel is up in there too.
Yeah. That's when someone was like, let's get this weird German impressionistic filmmaker to make a horror movie. What do you think it'll look like? Stupid is what it'll look like.
Worth noting, Brian Oblivion only appears as a talking head on a television while everybody else is like in person on the set.
That's why one might think he's not even real.
Which is a great idea. Which is really a great idea. I mean,
it's so cool.
Appearing on TV. Yeah, I love
super
that
meta.
That's why I only appear on TV. That's deep.
That, as we find out, that's the new flesh.
Exactly.
And what I like about this particular scene is that it's interesting to me that Max is really upfront with like the capitalistic motive for what for their programming, essentially. Like, there's no the pretense about art and integrity and all this bullshit. It's really just like, we need to get an audience.
Viewers.
Like, never see
that's
that
the thing
now.
is like, you don't, because there's really no context for it anymore. But like, that was UHF television. Like, if you go and you watch that Weird Al movie, that's kind of what it was, is it was just a little tiny TV station that broadcast in the UHF band. And all they did was just like run like reruns.
I mean, that's why
in our case, fucking trashy movies that
that's
transformed the generation.
They were trashy. That's why so many of them were horrors, because horror was probably very cheap to license and they could get a lot of it, buy a big package of it and just run this shit all day. And who cares? And people who watch it, because as much as people like to say they don't like horror, they actually do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like in my case, it was mom and dad would never rent these movies for us. And so when they aired them, much to my delight,
our parents are very Catholic.
They aired them mostly intact. Like Taxi Driver, I do remember being like, what is happening in that window behind him in the porno theater? Because you could tell that it's a close up of a woman masturbating behind him. This was on TV.
The swears. They would bleep the swears and the suck on this scene, and that was about it.
And that big blowout at the end was fully intact.
They would probably cut Scorsese's monologue in the cab, I assume.
Maybe. So he explains that because they're small, they have to offer audiences something that they can't get elsewhere. Nikki thinks that what he does is bad. It speaks to overindulgence. And then Max objects to this simply because she's wearing a fire engine red dress and her hair is also red.
I admit it. I live in a highly excited state of overstimulation.
I love that she's so muted in this movie. She's so toned down. Like she has a big personality. She has a big star. And she plays this so subtly. Like I think she's probably the star of the movie, really.
The thing obviously, I think that when the producers saw what came out that's why she's so front and center on.
She's also surprisingly good.
Her face is huge on the poster. They really knew what they got. I kind of I don't know much about her, but I kind of get the feeling like that's kind of how she presents herself, is very quiet. Like I've seen her speak on those VH1 shows, and she is kind of like reserved and very quiet. You expect her to be very large and outrageous like Madonna or something like that, but she's not.
And she's, as someone who's met her a few times, she's very, very nice. She's a lovely woman and she's very cool. You also know, like, she would work out at the gym I worked at. You'd also know when not to approach her at all. You know what I mean? It's just like, don't bother her today. She's, just leave her alone. But yeah, she's I don't know if you ever saw that first movie she did, the little film noir type thing called Union City.
He claims that's why he wanted her for this movie.
Yeah, that's another movie that has some problems because at the end of the movie there were all these stills of her. She looked like Marilyn Monroe. It was so beautiful in this thing, and you never see that in the actual film. She dyes her hair blonde at the end, and she takes off a thing, and her hair is all wet, and you never see her as this glamorous blonde from all these stills. And as we've seen in Hairspray, she's pretty good at comedy too. If it's kind of that kind of camp type thing, because you could tell she has lots of gay friends, hung around drag queens and everything.
Oh yeah, she's pretty campy in this movie too.
Yes.
Yep. So now Max ignores everybody else, just starts talking to her, asks her to dinner,
just being a scumbag.
So Rena asks Oblivion what he thinks, and he rattles off some cryptic business about television being the retina of the mind's eye. He says some very prescient things about choosing names. Oblivion is obviously not his real name, and how they resonate with the TV fantasy. I love that name.
It's very good. I love the way it's spelled.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Well, I also want to give props to the woman playing Rena King, because she has a lot of good takes where she's like, the TV is the retina of the mind's eye. Max, what about you? Because it's just literally like, wait, was that an answer to the question?
Right, because this is gonna make sense a little while later, but he does just kind of come out and say some bullshit, like some nonsense.
Yeah, that stuff is so great. I love that. I love it.
So back at the Video Pirate Lab, they watch a full Videodrome broadcast. A man strung up, being brutalized by two masked men.
A black man.
Mac.
Remember, so that's another, okay, like, ooh, what is this all about? You're whipping a black guy.
And so this is kind of what I meant before, is that this idea that he's like, I have a very clear vision for this movie that I'm making, and you'll just understand it. And it doesn't occur to him that, like, if you're a black person watching this movie in the theater, that's going to evoke some very, very strong feelings, negative feelings probably. And it just doesn't occur to him that someone would have a different experience than him.
Or what kind of audience are you trying to reach? But still, it's like, that film White Dog, the Christine McNichol, the Sam Fuller film. It's the most heartbreaking film ever. And I'll never forget one time I was like, with a friend of mine who just happens to be black. And I'm like, oh, do you want to watch this movie? It's really, and I'm thinking, oh, this will be, we started watching. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. This must
But
be
at
the
least
most
you,
traumatic.
at least you realized it. I don't think David Cronenberg wanted to realize. And Stephen King gets called out for or used to get called out for this type of stuff a lot, where he would be like, "I intend for this thing to be like this," and it's like it doesn't matter what you intend.
You know, but the weird thing about Stephen King that I would, you know, because I'll defend people saying Brian De Palma is a messiah, you know, stuff like that. But my problem with King, does every female character in every one of his stories have to be molested by her father? It's like
Yes.
from it to everything.
Every female
Just
character
like,
is
damn,
basically his
dude.
wife.
Say that again.
Every female character, after a certain point, is basically just his wife. He's just writing his wife. Which is nice. I mean, not the molesting part, but like the rest of the more romantic aspects, I guess, is nice.
Yeah.
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 So Max wants to know when the story comes in, and Harlem tells him that this is it. That's all Videodrome is. It's brutality.
I think it's interesting that Max never stops to think whether, or he just assumes automatically it's all fake, which is funny because this is at a time when even a non-reactionary person would at least wonder if it's real.
Right.
Like your actual first assumption would be probably that it's real rather than the other way around.
Yeah. Later on, it's gonna come up, and he's gonna be like, it's safer. It's easier to do it fake. Like, why would you do it for real?
Right.
You know.
This is also where he tells him that it's coming from Pittsburgh. And I thought, you know, if I saw something like Videodrome on TV, I'd also assume it was just Pittsburgh. That's just Pittsburgh, you know?
It's him saying hey to his friend George.
Yep.
Yep. Also, the soundtrack to these Videodrome scenes is just so raw because it's just screaming
and water. Like you feel it, like water splashing around. Like, oh God.
Yeah.
It's also weird because then when you find out later in the movie that nope, that was not a signal. You were just watching tapes. So you're like, okay, so they just produced, Barry Convex just produced all these little fake tapes to kind of show him
specifically for James Woods.
Exactly. It's like just for you. Or whomever, you know, they could, again, you know, remember it's now, again, Videodrome is so relevant even today, like Trump trying to take over the CBS network, you know, it's, you know, you can see that's like, okay, we found our target, you know.
Now we just got to lure you in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now Max goes over to Nikki's radio station, CRAM, where she's talking to a distressed woman on the phone who hates her sister.
No, it is not. It's my sister. Get yourself together, lover. It's you.
Why?
God,
why does she keep calling her lover?
I love it.
Love her.
This movie is insane.
Please, you're going. Yes. Will you please call our distress center? Will you please? And the way she's so fucking cool because, you know, she spent many hours in a recording studio. She's got that one ear on the headphone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then
I imagine she's like Delilah if Delilah was like a sociopath. There's something so exploitative about this show.
Yeah. But then at the end, when she's done, she picks up a tape and kisses it. And I think she's implying that this is all fake. Is that the implication here?
I didn't catch that. But
you know,
maybe.
honestly, I didn't catch it either. I think I thought, were they going to have movie night? She's like, I brought a movie and he's going to show me.
We can listen to this later.
You know, I kind of, thinking about that. What is that? I've never really thought about.
Or is she just waving to him?
Maybe because I like it just in the context of this movie where like, the fantasy is more real than real. I thought like maybe this is the radio version of that.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know, like it was all produced and it's her just sort of reciting her part while the recording plays back this woman that they've had this prepared. I don't know. It's such an insignificant detail to get hung up on. But
so he's watched the Videodrome show twice, maybe 2 or 3 times that Harlan has picked in. He met her one time on this TV show, then he shows up at her work. So I don't even think at this point, I don't think to me, he's not hallucinating yet. To me,
Right.
it's like he hasn't really watched enough. It's not until after it's when he has the weird kinky sex scene with Debbie that now
I think that's
he
the
has
break.
that
That's
one
the
hallucination
transition.
where, oh, I'm in the clay room, you know. So yeah. Good. Hopefully someone will answer that for it.
Yeah, chime in the comments.
It's a Blondie.
Everybody.
It's
Let
the
us
best
know.
of Blondie. It was just like, hey, I had a band. I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever heard of them. I'm sick of them, and I'm ready to tell them to fuck off.
It's my new solo album,
which had just come out. So, speaking of time frames, so listen, Debbie Harry had released Cuckoo. Her record label was furious because they wanted to keep Blondie together. They didn't want her doing a solo record. That came out fall of 81. And that's when she, the Giger, and she had the brown hair. Because you got to remember, after The Tide is High in Rapture, you can see she had about that much root on her hair. So she would have, in the fall, after touring Europe in 1980, she would have had the red hair. So I would say she would have been filming Videodrome. It's so weird when you talk about the end of the year because...
So they started filming in 80, I think October or November of 82.
Boy, that's a spread.
No, wait. No, no, they had to have done it before.
I think it was October.
It would have been 81. It would have had to have been 81 that they started because
I think it was 81 because also it is visibly cold.
Yeah.
In those exterior scenes.
And it did come out in winter of 83. But here's the thing.
February 83.
Yeah. Debbie Harry was on tour in summer of 82 with the last Blondie album, and they had to record that Blondie album in the winter also. And
this movie was definitely shot in the winter.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Yes, because even when they did Chris Stein did a photo exhibit in London, Debbie was there are lots of pictures of her from 82, and even on the album cover of The Hunter where she's wearing a wig, and it's because her hair was still dark because she was doing Videodrome. And then she had to bleach the hair blonde for the Blondie tour, and then I think in the fall of 82 they had to have done
fell out.
Well, they had to have done some reshoots, because then her hair
no, they couldn't do reshoots for it because she, I think, had like pneumonia or something.
Oh, I remember hearing that she was sick. But if you look
because they wanted to do a different ending, and they were going to reshoot it, but she ended up, I think, had pneumonia, and James Woods also couldn't do it. He was like shooting something else, and so they ended up not doing anything because they just couldn't.
So so wait, so we're at C-Ram, and she just kissed the videotape, right? And then the next thing we're in his apartment.
Yeah, so we go to Max's place where she goes through his collection of videotapes looking for something to get her turned on. She says, "Got any porno?" And then she finds the Videodrome tape and puts it on.
What's this Videodrome? Oh, what does he say? Oh, death, snuff, torture. Sounds exciting. And she goes, sounds great.
Boy, red flag, buddy.
Yeah, yes. It's also interesting. I've also been fascinated with what she's wearing in that scene.
Yeah. Oh, that like off the shoulder thing?
Well, she was always famous because, Steven Sprouse did a lot of her designs, and she's known for that. And I even in my drag, I incorporate a lot of that type of design because it's uniquely her, and I really love it. And she's wearing it, but it's this weird, it almost looks like it's this crocheted thing, but it's something about... Because like you say, like we see her in red, but then at C-Ram, she's in that kind of horizontally striped. It's kind of this lavendery. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of her costume, story in that, and like what the choice was, and what is that supposed to be about her? It's just
there is a touch of sort of glamour to this presentation of her too, because when we see her at the radio station, her hair's all tied up,
and she's sweating,
and she's got and then the next one she's sexy as hell.
Yeah.
So they watch Videodrome together. It's a woman being flogged, and Nikki, she's really into it. She suggests that he cut her shoulder with a knife, revealing several cuts already there.
So I love this scene, not because of the content. I just love the way that it's lit. that she's got that. So the whole apartment, probably because of what the reflection, the glow from the screen, the whole apartment is kind of this like dull red, just like her dress, just like her hair. You can see Cronenberg sort of getting a little more artsy with this than maybe he does in his other movies. He's kind of taken some more aesthetic risks, but I thought it's one of the few scenes where I was like, wow, this is a beautifully lit moment.
Well, one interesting thing about the DP, it's his regular DP.
It's Mark Irwin.
Mark Irwin. He said that he had problems lighting her, and it is something if you studied her face a lot like I have, because she's got very high, broad cheekbones. He finally realized, because she kept getting filmed with circles under her eyes, and he said basically he had to wrap the light around her face. So it's just, when you watch it for the 23rd time, just go like, I'm just going to focus on her face and see where she's lit the best and everything, because she is, it is interesting how she can look very dark and menacing. I always wonder why she didn't even do more horror movies. She could be very scary. She's not scary in this at all. She's actually she's really kind of fun. I mean, if you were a straight dude, I'd be like, could you imagine how many dudes would want to date her?
She's not a well-written character, so I feel like she kind of had to take it and figure out what to do with it, which is probably why it feels a little bit campy, is because she's just like, I don't know, fuck it, I'm going to go with it.
And I think it's also why he may have cast her, because you got to remember, I remember everybody in school going, she fucks all those guys in the band. And I'd be like, what are you talking? It's like, and also people don't remember the press, as famous as she was, the actual press, some of the press were kind to her. A lot of the press wasn't kind to her at all. I remember an interview on like Entertainment Tonight when Cuckoo, it was her with Giger, and she was wearing, again, when she was doing Videodrome, she was seen in public wearing blue wigs, green, before anyone did that, pink wigs. And I remember she was being interviewed in a pink wig. And as they went back to the girl doing the, spot, she kind of like, on TV was reacting to her like she was nuts. So I think having that character be this, take out your knife and cut me a little bit. They were able to be like, oh, I bet she's really like that. Because look at, the Giger and the skewers in her face and, all that weird, now she's doing funk music, So at that time, and then after The Hunter, Blondie's last album was a big flop. So you also got to remember, they had built her up. Oh man, we got the most famous woman in rock and roll in this movie. And then by the time the movie came out, people were done with her. They really were done with Debbie Harry and the whole thing. So, and then, notoriously all those films that get dumped in January and February before the Oscars are all the movies that are the shit movies that people are like, So I don't really think they had any hopes at all for this movie.
Probably not. I'm sure the studio watched this and was like, "What the fuck did we pay for?"
Seriously, it was only a $5 million movie.
Yeah,
Which for
it wasn't
even for
that much.
'83, that was not a lot of. That was like, that was the same thing that like Funeral Home, you know what I mean, or Curtains would have probably been shot for.
Yeah. So this is another scene. This is one of the first scene I wanted to kind of point out of the sort of what are we looking at? What is real? Because as we were just talking about, she's wearing this thing that is very clearly just off the shoulder. We see her shoulder very clearly in all these scenes. And then she says, like, why don't you cut me a little? And then they look and she's already got these marks on there.
Looks like somebody already beat me to it.
Yeah. But then we cut away and we see her again in the wide and they're not there.
Oh, really?
Now,
I've never noticed that.
Ordinarily, you might chalk this up to a continuity error, but kind of given the sort of like illusion, like the sort of illusory nature of this movie, I wonder if this is like a deliberate detail.
I bet it's not. You know what I mean? Because it,
My inclination is also probably this is just a continuity error.
Yeah. So now laid out on the floor, Max uses a needle to pierce her ears and then they fuck. And when the camera pulls back, we see that they're on the horrible graded floor of the Videodrome set.
It's also weird. Like, wouldn't you think that her ears would already have been pierced? No,
I feel like that's probably what he's doing is actually...
He's giving an additional hole in her ear. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. So the next day at CIVIC-TV, Max shows up late to work. Bridie preps him with a coffee and a cigarette for his meeting with another porn producer, a woman named Masha. Max is unimpressed with her movie. Was it Apollo and Dionysus?
Yes.
Oof. It's the most boring softcore porn I've ever seen.
It's like Caligula without all the fucking.
It's all good. I love Masha.
She's great.
Those beautiful.
She's fantastic.
Those beautiful cigarette stained teeth, and she's smoking. And remember the creepy. James Woods is cuter than the waiter, and she's flirting with this waiter.
A waiter with the helmetist hair helmet I've
and that
ever
big
seen.
old mustache, and then she says, "Oh, you're far too young for me," or no, or something like that.
Yeah. So Max is unimpressed with it, and he asks her if she knows about Videodrome. She's unfamiliar, so he explains it. Under the impression that it looks very, very real, he asks her to track it down for her. That night, Max and Nikki hang out. She's going away on assignment.
What is this on assignment? Like, she has a weird, I'm going to guess, relationship show?
Listen, she's going to that lady's house who has a problem with her sister to personally counsel her.
I think she just says assignment, meaning she's being cute. She's like, I'm going on assignment for herself to find, because again, my favorite line from the whole movie is she's doing that thing. She goes, I was made for that show. That just makes me laugh. It makes everyone I've ever watched it with bust out laughing when she says that, because it's like, girl,
you just watched a woman get beat with a rubber hose.
I was made for that show. You know, and again, that's where, like, you know, when we talk about misogyny in film and everything, I'm going, no, you can't with her, because she's up for it. It's you know, I recently watched remember the Sean Young movie Love Crimes? Yeah. All right, with Patrick Bergen. Well, you know, he plays a creepy photographer that finds ugly women at the mall, makes them think that they're beautiful, that they can be models, and then
they called it the Swan.
And then he takes pictures of them, and then he humiliates them. But then he finally meets this one woman, and he's going, get down on all fours, you know, bark like a dog, and she's into it, and she's going, "Rah, rah," and it's turning him off because she's not humiliated. You know what I mean? And finally he's like, I have to get out of here.
Yeah, she beat him at his own game.
Absolutely. And that's why, you know, like my old roommate in New York, she was a 34 triple D. You know, she had really nice big boobs. They were real too. And I'll never forget, we were watching Windows. Remember the lesbian version of, like, the lesbian cruising, the Gordon Willis, the only film Gordon Willis directed with Talia Shire. And, you know, and it's a sick movie. And then it's got the lesbians. It's like, come on. Yeah. And my girlfriend kept going, just rip your clothes off and be like, what? What do you know what I mean? Just confront her. Sorry, had to go off on a tangent. But I loved it. I'm like, no, ladies, you got to flip that shit around and scare those guys a little bit. Just the second they think they have the upper hand, it's like, no, whip them out. What?
So Max tells her to stay away from Videodrome. Those Mondo video weirdos play rough.
Even rougher than Nicky Brand likes to play.
And he says some of these things are shot in Brazil. And I was like, is he implying that Pittsburgh is worse or better than Brazil?
Made in Pittsburgh, where life is cheap.
Oh my God.
So then she bums the smoke off of him and burns herself with it to show him how real she is.
Okay.
So later on, Max meets up with Masha at a Greek restaurant.
With the laziest belly dancer I have ever seen in my life.
She is giving 15% belly dance.
And could you imagine if my brother and his girlfriend, if we had stayed long enough to see Debbie Harry put the cigarette out on her tit? They would have been like, you're going to hell. Man.
Yep. She has asked around and didn't like what she found because it's not what he thinks it is. She describes it as political. It's real snuff TV, but Max doesn't believe it.
All right. So this is, I think this is a very interesting concept. This idea that Mondo Video as political philosophy. This is a very bold concept, but The problem is that he doesn't go anywhere with it. He doesn't ever, we never learn what that political philosophy is. We never learn whose it is. Like,
oh no, we do. It's just, it doesn't land.
It doesn't amount to much. It just sort of like,
it's because that's when Barry and Harlan explained to him, where it's like, we got to kill all the degenerates with this signal.
Like, it's such an interesting idea, but it's really like, it's not a political philosophy so much as it is just like, I don't know, eugenics or something. I don't know, but it's so lazy, and he just kind of abandons it.
I know. I wish there would have been like just one other scene with Masha trying to, you know what I mean, stumbling onto something that we could have been with her as she may have discovered something nefarious or whatever about Videodrome,
something,
because we're still in the dark. We're just like, well, what is it? You know,
right? Or something that like, what is your philosophy? Is it or beyond just like, well, there's a lot of degenerates in the world, we're going to use this to kill them. That's not really a philosophy. That's just a kind of a eugenic strategy.
Yeah.
But the political thing where it's like, you know, there was a woman we saw, and then when you see the black guy, so you are kind of going, wait, why people that have already been persecuted? Or
I think that's just kind of thoughtlessness, because so this is kind of the question where a lot of the critics were sort of like, why would you include this in your movie? And he was sort of like, well, I am a heterosexual man. He makes a lot out of being a heterosexual man, and I'd just like to say, for someone who
wait a minute, he actually says that?
Yes, and for someone who really puts a lot on his heterosexuality, he has a lot of movies where people are putting things into dudes.
Well, he probably, you know, gets banged up. He's, you know, David Cronenberg's into getting pegged. Come on. You can be straight. Listen, you can be straight as an air. There are some guys that just like to have girls strap it on and pop it to him. Trust me.
Well, look at the, you know, something in Rabid. There's like, well, here's basically a woman with a penis, essentially. So there's a lot of that, but that's beside the point. I just think it's kind of funny. He never presents it in like a homophobic way. He presents it in a very matter of fact way that like, well, as a heterosexual man, I just assume that or like I would want to watch women, and it's like, all right, well, what about the black guy? Like, there's a lot of this.
Well, that's why
like,
it sounds just more political. Like he's playing on tropes, like racist.
I think he's just not thinking about it. He's just like, I don't know, people. Let's put people in the movie.
Well, like, you know, like De Palma, his whole thing, you know, when they're like, it's always women being stalked, and he's like, do you really think that I want to follow a dude around? You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's like Brian De Palma films don't work with men, would never work.
That's essentially Cronenberg's defense. Is his argument is like, well, I'm a straight man. I would watch women sexually. I have a sexual interest in women, and it's like, okay, but you're kind of missing the broader. You're missing the broader point of their critique. It's not really about what you want to watch. It's who you're putting in your movie and why, and did you actually give it any thought? And I think the answer is no. He probably didn't.
Because when you get around to Existence, you know, and Jude Law, and they have the portal that looks like a little butthole, you know, so that is more like, okay, now but you know, it's the whole penetration of, you know,
right. And we're also,
it's like it's not pansexual, but it's that thing of where, you know, even like the vagina in James Woods, it is.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, bizarre. Why are you talking so much about your heterosexuality? And now James Woods is essentially fisting his own, I'm going to call it a gussy.
Yeah.
If I may, I don't want to be crude or anything, but I didn't create it. I mean, like, come on, man. Yeah. It's just a lazy defense. That's like, there is the implication that there's something sexual about this, but they never really even explore beyond what that means. Like, yeah, it's this weird S&M thing, but like, again, I sort of wonder, does David Cronenberg understand what S&M is?
Yeah.
Because he seems to think it's this, and it's not that.
Yeah.
This is just torture.
Yeah. I mean, kinky torture. Yeah. Yeah, it's not even kink. It is. Well, but he says that it's just torture. There's no budget. There's no script.
Right.
There's no production value, you know, and who would want to watch that?
Yeah. James Woods.
Me.
You and James Woods.
And Brian Oblivion, because that's the name that she gives him.
Yep.
So Max goes downtown to a street choked with homeless people, and they scuffle into what looks like a soup kitchen, but is revealed to be something called the cathode ray mission.
I'm going to call it They Live.
Yeah, they indulge in television shows and cubicles.
And you can tell this movie was a huge influence on John Carpenter.
For sure.
And it's Masha who gave him the information about Bianca. Well, that's weird because wouldn't he technically somewhat be connected already through Brian Oblivion and being on the TV show? It's, you know what I mean? It's almost like, oh, I did all this research for you, and do you know?
I think this is when we are put together. He's putting the pieces together where Brian Oblivion is actually connected somehow to Videodrome. Yeah. Whereas before he was just sort of a talking head on a TV show. Literally a talking head on a TV show.
So he meets the woman in charge, Bianca Oblivion, and he wants to talk to her father. So she takes him up to an ornate office lined with books and sculpture.
But first she's shady as fuck because she's like, oh, no, I know who you are. You said some very superficial things. And I was like, ooh, I love Bianca Oblivion. She's my character in this movie.
Yeah, Bianca believes that the people down below don't need food or shelter. They need television to bring them back to the world's mixing board.
I love that. I love that dialogue. We need to patch them back into the world's mixing board. I mean, and what gets you then TV? Because it's part of our, it's, I mean, I can tell you my mother's entire day, what was based around TV, you know what I mean? And all, so there is something about that.
Oh, sure. And this is to sort of patch these disenfranchised people back into sort of the capitalist thrust.
Which, that's actually kind of interesting, though, in retrospect, if we think about now, how to interpret that now, that idea that because of social media, we've all sort of been siloed in these different ways. What she is essentially saying, and what Brian Oblivion will go on to say, is like, we will connect them back to society by sharing a thing we are all watching. Whereas now, part of our problem now is that we don't actually share anything anymore. We all watch different things. And so we're very disconnected. This was sort of like as bad as everybody thought, and this is not what he intended when he made this, but like as bad as everybody thought TV was, we were all watching the same things. So we were bonded over that socially. Whereas now it's like...
That's the Marshall McLuhan idea of the global village.
Yes.
She's evasive when Max asks to meet the professor. And shady. Oblivion doesn't meet with people for discussions. He hasn't spoken to another person directly for 20 years.
Yes, why there hasn't been a Brian Oblivion here for 25 years.
20 years. So what? She was like 14 or, 10 when he died. It's, that's all interesting. Also,
well, then she says the monologue is his preferred method of communication. And my note just says, girl.
It's so brilliant, though. I mean, that is, look at social media today when you talk about, you say we're not sharing, but yet that's all we're doing is sharing.
It's one way. It's a one-way communication for sure.
Not really
we're talking at each other.
We're connecting with some, but it really is. Now, I also want to say it's like, since she's the other female lead, she's kind of the antithesis of the Debbie Harry, but she and Debbie Harry look, and again, if you cast Debbie Harry thinking she's going to come in as a blonde, but now that they're both brunettes and Sonia Smits has those really beautiful full lips, she and Debbie Harry, I kind of look at them as kind of opposites. And then I look at the really tight, severe French twist in Bianca's hair. She's like got the suit
it's the
on,
hair and the clothes.
so
she's very buttoned up.
Yeah, she's very business, so that character is, kind of cool too. But
I think at one time there was a draft of the script where both characters were supposed to be played by the same actress. And I think it was Debbie who was supposed to be both of them.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, but sort of in the same way, like if you've seen Possession, in the way that Isabella Gianni plays two characters, but you look at them.
Is that what's going on? Okay, because I've never made it. I can't get past the goddamn wet bed and the octopus.
Oh, if you can't make it to the end of that movie, you're really missing out.
I know, and
it gets real gloopy.
I've only seen the clips, and I love her in the subway. That's me in the subway system with the milk. But yeah, that one freaks I just wasn't ready for. I still don't think I'm ready for that one.
That is. I don't.
That's Sam
I don't
Neill's
wanna-
gay
I don't
sex
wanna-
Well, I like
debut.
you saying that she plays.
Yes,
two
I don't want to go.
characters.
I don't want to get too far off track on that one. But that is, with maybe the exception of Angst, one of the most aggressive movies I've ever seen, where everybody is so fucking intense in it.
I love that movie.
That it makes
never
me.
seen
It
Angst
makes me
either.
physically.
Don't.
It'll make you sick.
Don't.
But it is a movie that makes me physically
Gross.
uncomfortable.
I get angst and anguish. I think the anguish had Tangina in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's-
yeah.
Yeah. Angst is just gross.
Who did angst?
Like aggressive.
Is it okay?
I can't remember. It's German, right? It's German
Okay.
or Danish or
think it's
something
German.
like that.
All right,
Yeah.
You need not say anymore.
But they're two movies with such intense performances that like my body reacts to them in a way that like when I'm done with it, it's like I feel sore.
yeah.
So back to Videodrome. Yeah, he provides monologues on tape. Max mentions the name Videodrome, and Bianca is once again evasive, pretending to be ignorant of it.
She's not very good at that, but she's trying.
Yeah. So Max leaves, suggesting that Oblivion will want to talk to him about Videodrome. Thinking about Masha's warning, Max looks over a small handgun that he very obviously doesn't know how to use. Bridie knocks and comes in like a bull in a china shop with all the info that Max needs to know. He had her check with CRAM to see where Nikki was going, and they reported that she's definitely not on assignment.
I love that Bridie is this character. She feels very much like Cary Grant's secretary in North by Northwest. Like she's just on everything. Like she
Yes.
knows absolutely everything. She feels like a kind of like a His Girl Friday, very pulled
Well, that's
from
what she says
another
at the
era.
very beginning of the movie. It's your girl Friday,
Yep.
which is why for years I thought her name was Friday.
Yeah.
In this movie.
She seems like she is of another era. So she is kind of a third sort of female trope in this.
It's also, we didn't talk about it, but I mean, imagine the trouble you have to go to record a wake up call on VHS
Every day.
and then somehow get it to automatically turn on and play in your TV.
And he can't be paying her much.
Again,
can't be
they're a
worth it.
struggling TV network, so it is. It's like she's doing a lot.
Oh yeah, she makes $5 Canadian an
She's
hour.
hourly for sure.
So Bridie goes to put the wake up tape in the VCR. Max freaks out. He grabs her and then he slaps her once, and she recoils, but it's Nikki in the red dress. And then he hits her again, and it's Bridie. But after a beat, she replies as if nothing unusual had happened.
So this is, I think, when we're supposed to be like, oh, he's losing his mind.
Yeah,
And it's such a bizarre scene. Now, I always was obsessed with it because there's this vocal little thing that you can hear. It's Debbie Harry's voice when she gets smacked. That I've always just thought that's weird. And she's in a slightly different red dress. It's not the same red dress from the talk show.
yeah, it's the one from the end of the movie.
One from the end, but you'll see there's a little sequined red epaulette that's like on her shoulder. It was very, yeah. So I'm wondering,
I wonder if we're supposed to think it's the same dress.
well, but see, I'm thinking that's his hallucination and that's what he's remembering she was in this red, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not reality. It's just from his memory. Oh, maybe it was something like this.
This dress in particular is much more revealing, whereas the one that was on the Rena King show was like it's up to her neck and like
It
it's
is, but you can't really see. It's pinned at the neck, and there's an opening again, like a vagina split. If you look, it's actually open, and then you see. It's also cut in a way that her legs are really
right.
Again, I love that about fashion, where it looks conservative and then you're like, oh my God, you're tired. So yeah, in some still shots, you can see that it actually has this opening, but yeah, it doesn't read. It's a beautifully designed dress. Carol Spear? No, Carol Spear didn't do. What is Carol Spear? What's her role in Cronenberg's stuff? She's the screen. What do you call her? Oh God, I'm taking up too much time rambling.
art director.
Art director. Okay, never mind.
Yep. Yeah. So he apologizes for hitting her, and she's like, "What the hell are you talking about, dude?" And then he nervously ushers her out of the apartment. And as she leaves, she points out that the other tape she dropped off is from Oblivion. And he looks it over, and it seems to pulse and breathe in his hands.
It is also Betamax.
It's all beta.
It's like David Cronenberg, champion of Betamax.
Betamax was the superior format.
But it was beta because VHS tape was too big for the prosthetic on his stomach.
For the gussy.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's also weird. It feels like it's been a long time since we've seen Harlan. It's almost, I feel like we needed another visit to the studio it's just weird that now he's getting all these different tapes. Well, I mean, are they from Bianca do you think somehow like that? I mean, would Bianca have like a video? I mean, because that's how they killed her father.
Dead. He would be. He couldn't have made him a new tape.
And she also, because you're about to get to it, but when he comes back to see her and he's like, this shit bites.
Yeah.
He does say, I thought you were one of them. So these are bad tapes. I think they are meant to, I don't know. It's because if Bianca thought he was one of Barry Convex's bad guys or whoever these people are coming to get her, she'd be like, all right, bitch, play this shit. And let's see if you want to fuck around with me. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's all because honestly, it's fun to talk about this movie second by second, you know what I mean? Because I haven't thought about a lot of these things, or I think about it when I watch, but then, you never get to discuss it with someone and go like, well, what do you think about this?
Yeah. Yeah. So he pops it into the player and Brian begins. The battle for the mind of North America will be fought on television.
Also, please don't mind the 13th century executioner lurking about as I speak.
His message is murky, but it makes a certain sense. The televised message becomes a real experience to the person viewing it. By watching it, it becomes real in their mind. And then he addresses Max directly. And the soundtrack changes too. It's no longer that like tinny speaker voice. It's like he's in the room now.
So this was also Cronenberg's kind of his perspective on everything was like, no matter what I see in the world, it's real to me, so it's real, and what is real to other people is real, and so it's like it's this kind of real murky philosophy.
But here's the thing. Listen, I don't know if you guys saw that Bee Gees documentary. It was an incredible documentary, and Barry Gibb. I mean, I watched this during COVID, and what Barry Gibb said about truth, I finally got it. Because again, you said you were raised Catholic. I'm ex-ministry, was Southern Baptist. Not for long. It just took that one semester of at a Southern Baptist college. And I'm like, nah, fuck this shit. Nah. I'd rather watch Videodrome. Sorry. Oh fuck. But what he said was, there is no truth. There is no real truth. There is only people's perceptions of the truth. And I'm sorry, but that's just real. And we know when we see things with our own eyes that are real, but then you step away from that and you start getting the story from everybody and it's all slightly altered, and it's not that anyone's a liar. I
don't know. There's some people right now that are lying about a lot of things.
I'm not talking about being involved with people that are intentionally deceptive. I'm talking about even like you saying that, with perception, you're like, but are you aware of who is watching this movie? That's a different perception. That's exactly what you were saying earlier. It's like, a black person watching White Dog is going to have a much different reaction and perception of that movie than a privileged white person that's never, been chased or, like that. Or like a woman who's, been stalked or terrorized or something. It's just gonna, it's, different, but I guess my point is that's what's great about cinema, and that's with every movie you see. Depending on who's watching it, it is slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
God, so deep.
You don't expect that out of Barry Gibb.
Barry Gibb.
So Max is hallucinating, and if he keeps on with this TV obsession, his entire life will become a hallucination. And Oblivion explains that he was diagnosed with a tumor as he was having visions like the ones Max is having, and he believes that the visions caused the tumor. And as he explains this, one of the Videodrome torturers comes out and begins strapping him to the chair. The torturer strangles him, and he manages to croak that he was Videodrome's first victim.
I feel like this scene was probably intended to be longer. It feels very truncated, like it just cut away really hard.
Yeah.
Which is strange for his movies. He doesn't really pull any punches.
True.
It's the scene that they played on a lot of the review shows. This would be the clip from the movie that you would see.
Damn.
Up to, I know. And I do love the hokey. I was Videodrome's first victim.
So the torturer takes off the mask, and it's Nikki.
Gas.
She beckons him to the TV, and he approaches. The surface of the TV console begins to pulse and undulate as Nikki moans. It has a nasty, veiny texture to it. Yeah. The screen depicts her lips, telling him to come to her. It bulges outward, and Max presses his head into the lips as she reacts with pleasure.
Cool.
So it is pretty cool.
That's a badass scene. I mean, that whole TV. I remember seeing the makeup effects in Fangoria. They had that cover with the guts. It was the guts spilling out of the TV. That weird. I always wanted to touch that TV and just see what it felt like. It's so cool. And that sound when the veins, that cracking sound when the veins come across the top of the TV. It's so cool.
So good. It's perfect Cronenberg. We cut to the cathode ray mission. Max waits for Bianca on the steps and presents the tape to her. They go back up to Oblivion's office, where he explains that he's been having headaches since the first time he saw Videodrome, and explains the origin of the show for him. She elaborates on why Videodrome is so dangerous. Videodrome is not a show. It's a signal that hides in the video, and it damages the people watching it. It creates a tumor in the viewer.
And this is where the story starts to get a little slippery.
She implies that there's a shadowy they behind this conspiracy. Listen to Max, thinking that Oblivion is just behind that door in his office, barges in and finds nothing but a sprawling library of videotapes. Bianca explains that her father died a couple of years ago and creates the illusion of him being alive with hundreds of hours of video monologues. Oblivion believed that through television, mankind was on the edge of a new form of life, and Videodrome was the means to push them through, but his partners had other uses for it, and they killed him.
So this is an interesting idea, another very interesting idea that he just doesn't stick with for very long, because it's like, gotta keep moving, gotta finish this movie.
Yeah, there's a little bit too much philosophy for a movie that's not even 90 minutes long, you know? But he does say something like, public life on television is more real than private life in the flesh, which is a pretty good analog for reality TV.
For today and for social media too. It's like, it's only real what I'm showing you. You know?
Yeah. Because I remember...
Maybe they're trying to do that with CBS now. They're going to turn CBS into something where we're going to watch Young and the Restless.
That's just bad faith ideology.
Even though the writing has gotten so horrible.
I know. They're going to put the Videodrome signal on the MSNBC broadcast.
I mean, it's the most Cronenbergian part of the movie. But he doesn't take it to any conclusion. He's just sort of like, it'll work itself out at the end.
Well, I guess, maybe if Max hadn't assassinated Barry Convex, we would, I don't know, maybe, you know what I mean? That's why I always go like, listen, there are some movies that I want you to remake. Like, I wanted them to remake Suspiria, and they should remake more Italian giallo horror. I'm like, because a lot of them are so nonsensical, you can... They're just a jumping off ground where you could do more. But again, like Existence, I always, felt like was the non-sequel, that they could have, once technology had advanced by, what was that, 96? So
it's 98, I think.
98, so like only 15 years.
I think it's interesting that you say that that's for you, the sort of spiritual sequel, because Existence to me suffers in the same way this movie does, where it's like, you can tell David Cronenberg doesn't really understand video gaming. And so because
he's an old man. Yeah. It is,
and it's
one
the
of those,
same here. Like, he doesn't really understand this technology in any kind of navigable way.
Yes,
and
but
so it just sounds like
remember,
weird
the technology
nonsense.
didn't really exist back then. That's why it's like you can't throw him under the bus by saying, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's
Well,
like,
he fully admits that he does not do any research before he starts writing, which is why it ends up going like, he just sort of, he hopes for the best. And
It just works out most of the time.
Yeah, and I feel like this is kind of one of those times where it's a little more complicated than he knew. And it's like, if you had just taken a little more time to figure out what you were talking about, you would have put together a sort of theory or a plot line that is a little more coherent.
Yeah.
So and the same with the video games too.
Yeah. So she hands him a stack of tapes about Videodrome and he heads back to work. He goes to Harlan in the video lab and asks if he's been hallucinating. He has not. He goes home and watches the tapes. Something about the tumor in his head becoming a new organ. Max itches at his stomach.
Oh, I hate this part. He's itching himself with the gun.
Yeah. With his finger on the trigger, too.
Yeah,
it's like, it's
making me, I know he's not going to shoot himself, but like, it makes me so anxious.
See, I think that's sexy, but I'm from the South. I'm from Louisiana. So I'm like, yep. All right.
And when we
that's
pull
a green
back,
flag in the South.
And when we pull back, his torso has a pulsing, gaping orifice, henceforth known as a gussy.
You're welcome.
Which he stuffs his gun into, and that is not a euphemism.
Nope. And also, like, he's out of gun at the very least. He should probably go to urgent care. That's not a thing you want in there.
Because with his hand all trapped up in his torso vagina, he experiences some distress. And when he manages to remove his hand, he finds that there is no torso vagina after all. But hey, the gun is missing. That's weird, right?
But he just sort of moves on. He's just like, well, I guess there's nothing I can do about it now.
So Max gets a call from someone who tells him that a gentleman named Barry Convex would like to talk to him about Videodrome. So he heads down and gets into a waiting limousine.
On the TV cut, he gets the call. Have you ever seen the stills from the movie where Debbie Harry is on the television on a red phone and he's talking to her? So in the TV cut, it's Nikki who calls him. And as he's talking to her, she appears on the television. So it's like
shit.
And she's summoning him down. So I guess that was something they re-edited to cut her out of, saying Barry Convex is,
given how the movie ended, they may have had to go back and sort of like kind of retrofit the movie to make sense with their ending.
Yeah.
Like, given how they will say at the end, like, she's been dead all along, they probably had to go back and be like, well, then we have to cut her out of some of these scenes so it doesn't make it look like she's actually been alive at certain points.
I think
my guess is that the TV show was probably the one where they were like, that part we can't actually cut out. It's pretty plot critical.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if they were trying to say, because there is, again, you can't tell, when is she not real? When is she a hallucination? And maybe it is.
Because according to the movie, she's been dead the whole time. She was never real. Except he was sitting across from her on a TV show. So
I mean, I get that that's too far-fetched.
Hey, take it up with David Cronenberg.
I know. It's just like, I'm like, no, there's a production. It's just weird.
And this is the problem with writing on the fly while everything is kind of chaos around you and trying to film. And they're not filming sequentially, so he's probably just like, I don't know. Then she's dead. The end.
Yeah.
Again, I really would love to get that. Why have we never seen a screenplay? Why have we never, you think that would have come up at some point.
I would love if they made not just shooting drafts available, but I would love to see earlier versions of so many movies.
I'm sure he would not like you to see those.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't complete. I mean, because obviously, but they had to have something. You know what I mean? I'm like, and Debbie Harry, she's, I wouldn't say she's a collector, but it seems as though she keeps a lot of her stuff. In her book, she kept all of her fan art, which was also brilliant. So I bet you anything, she still got a script somewhere. So that's my dream, is for her to go, hi, I need a personal organizer to help. And I'm like, I'm here. I want to go through all your shit. Be fascinating.
So as they drive, Barry Convex appears on a small TV. He's the
And
chief of special
Barry Convex,
programs.
he's supposed to be based on Jim Baker.
Huh, okay.
Yeah,
Needs more makeup if he's going to be Jim Baker.
This is true. He's the chief of special programs for a military contractor called Spectacular Optical. They also make Videodrome. They drop him off at a storefront for Spectacular
And
Optical.
glasses.
And glasses for the third world, where Barry greets him as he tries on some seriously ugly glasses.
And it's the guy playing Barry Convex is the phone technician. He is fantastic in this role. He conveys the confidence of a televangelist.
Yeah.
Which is very surprising for someone who has been kind of a character actor, really, that he is memorable in this movie.
In the back of the store, Barry produces a head-worn device that will record one of his hallucinations so they can review it back at HQ. According to Barry, all of their other test subjects have gone completely insane, but Max is doing really well, all things considered. And they'd like to know why.
Well, he has a gun in his stomach now, so
and
not great.
And a beta tape.
That's right. This thing he puts on his head is really cool looking.
Oh, I love it.
When it lights up.
It's so cool because it has a weird opaque.
It looks like a xenomorph.
It's so cool. Again, that's why I hate that Debbie Harry, because Madonna was successful with every different persona she wanted to put out on an album. But what Debbie Harry was doing at this time, from the Cuckoo album in '81 with the Giger thing, I mean, you could just tell she was so over the Blondie thing, this kind of cartoon character, and she really wanted to delve into these really cool, dark, aspects.
Well, she should have worn the
entertainment.
helmet.
Well, it would have been cool to have gotten her, again, they would have had to make it fit her. She's got a very big head, which is, she wouldn't like that, but that's why she's so beautiful, because she's just got such a gorgeous big head. But, there's
a great shot here when they pull all the way back and he's sitting in the chair and the mask the helmet's all kind of lit up, and then it has this strip across the front that's like, glows red. It's obviously a very basic appliance on his head, but it just looks so cool.
It's super cool.
But that is what you talk about. That is cool when his vision, and then all of a sudden it becomes like widescreen or something. And I love the hand, because the hand, I can never tell which is that the back of the hand or the front. It's something about his thumb looks kind of funny. So I like that. And it also has that weird pixelated feel of like degraded videotape, like that. And then I absolutely love hearing those high heels. And Debbie comes in, and it kind of plays into her weirdness where, she kind of looks at him, and then it's just kind of like, this is fucking weird. Again, they could have kept us in these worlds longer, and I think really creeped us out by, like, maybe they should have made us get whipped. You know what I mean? Like, maybe because she has the whip and they do go to it, but somehow I feel like the audience needed to be, but go ahead. I'm getting ahead of you.
I think they wanted to. He had a lot more. So Rick Baker had a lot more ideas to do, but he only had $500,000 for his whole effects budget.
That's crazy.
He had to cut a lot of things. There was supposed to be a scene where they're kissing and like their faces start to melt together and then melt onto the floor. And I think they tried to do it. And Rick Baker was like, yeah, that's not going to happen at all.
Well, and then there was one that they talk about where a television was supposed to emerge from a bathtub.
Oh, the TV. They did do that one. They actually made it work.
They were talking about you could get electrocuted. It was extremely dangerous.
So there was a scene where he was supposed to be in the bathtub and the TV was supposed to sort of rise up. And what they figured out they could do is, if they took the inside of the TV out and then wrapped it in like plastic a bunch of times and put it back in, it was insulated enough that the water couldn't get to it, and then it was fine. And so they did shoot this really elaborate scene, and they ended up cutting the whole scene.
See, that's what I'm wondering. So if we go back to the still photography, and we've got Debbie Harry wet with her hair up in a towel, so there must have been a scene between them showering or taking a bath together. Because I also remember one of the special effects or something that there was also supposed to be one where their hands were going to become penises or something, and they were going to be like fucking each other.
Oh, that's the ending.
Yeah,
that was
like
supposed to be the
ending
ending.
like that or something. Which that's so creepy too.
So he wanted to do I'll get that. When we
but
get
I'm
to
wondering
the end.
if that scene with the TV that would have had to have happened before Nikki went to Pittsburgh to be on Videodrome or whatever that was. You know what I mean? So if that would have definitely been a hallucination. I'm just saying, meaning he would have been hallucinating things earlier than I think, or again, unless you believe he's hallucinating the whole thing. That's my only thing with this movie is I just try and go like, what's real and what is not real? I want more on that.
I want more on that and less of him whipping a television. That feels a little
that is
silly.
kind of cool too, if you think about it, because he's already, the idea when Debbie's lips come on and she's come to me, that whole idea of that's like virtual reality. You're literally fucking a TV. So him whipping the TV, I think those things kind of lighten it. And it's like, okay, we're having fun here. It's just a stupid movie because some of it's just so creepy and dark. It's so unbalanced. God damn it.
According to Barry, the reason that they pair the Videodrome signal with the violent sexual imagery is because something about the carnal imagery is conducive to triggering the Videodrome hallucination effect. So Barry leaves him to it, and pretty soon we're off to the races. Nikki comes in wearing a red dress in a room bathed in red light. She hands Max a whip, and he finds himself not in the back of Spectacular Optical, but on the Videodrome set. Nikki turns into a video signal on the television, and Max proceeds to whip the TV. He's hesitant at first, but he eventually gets right into it. And when the camera pulls back, Nikki has been replaced with the image of Masha.
Why?
I don't know. I do not know. The death of Masha is very mysterious. It doesn't really seem to have much in terms of stakes. But I do know that originally they were going to have him, as he whipped the TV, like strips of the television's exterior came off, and it was like a fleshy thing underneath it.
That would have been cool.
But wait a minute. So guys, did we ever find, okay, so he could have hallucinated that, and then he obviously hallucinates Masha dead in the bed. I'm getting ahead of the script, but do we ever find out, like, did he ever just call and go, Masha, are you okay?
I'm going to guess at a certain point he just doesn't care anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's completely out of control. So Max
well,
wakes
he's
up
like,
suddenly.
at least I don't have to get Dionysus and whatever the fuck was.
Dodge that bullet.
So Max wakes up suddenly in his apartment, asleep on his bed in front of a TV playing static. He turns over to go back to sleep and finds a bound, gagged, and dead Masha in bed with him. And he calls up Harlan and asks him to come over.
And I would say, Harlan, this is a really big ask for an employee. Can you help me hide a body?
See, Patron.
But
So
remember,
Harlan
he shows up and he goes, just go into my bedroom and photograph whatever.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything. And Harlan shows up with like a camera. He's like, Harlan's like Jimmy Olsen.
I do love Harlan goes, you want me to take pictures of what's in your bed?
If somebody dragged me out of the house in the middle of the night to take pictures and show up for nothing, I'd be pissed.
These guys, he must be a good guy. Obviously, Bridie.
He's clearly not a good guy.
Well, but listen, Bridie seems normal. She fucking shows up to give him a damn video. I mean, these employees are going, well,
that's true. They are weirdly dedicated.
We know why Harlan is, but yeah, it seems at this point we're like, God, he must be a great boss to work for.
I know.
Doing all this. Sounds like a nightmare.
So Harlan goes in and then, disappointed, comes back out and tells him that there's nothing in his bed. Max goes in, and sure enough, the bed is empty. He sends him over to the video lab to see if they recorded another Videodrome episode. And when he gets there, Harlan brings him in and tells him that there was no Videodrome tape. He expected to see himself on Videodrome, but Harlan tells him that it wasn't on. It was never on, actually. As a matter of fact, it was all a ruse, a cunning attempt to trick him.
There you go.
See, that's where you get like, wait, we're at the end.
My note just says this movie is unfocused.
Seriously, it's like you need 20 more minutes of story before we get to this scene. I want to see him on Videodrome. That would have been really that would have been. I mean,
and that's
but
the
how
weird
would they
thing
have
about this
shown
movie is
that?
for a 90-minute movie, it does feel like it's way longer than it is, but not in a way that often that's a complaint of mine. This just feels like such a dense movie.
It's because there's so many competing ideas happening at the
Yeah.
same time. And you're like, wait, what about the other thing you just said?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's why, like, I'm sure when I was younger, it would, okay, what the fuck? But repeated viewings, I'm just one of those that I do tend to like movies more and more, especially because I'm very ADD. I'm always looking at something on this. You know me. But it is one of those things is where like I have to really pay attention and focus, and this is such a hard movie to just like, oh God.
Well, I can see why this movie would appeal to young people so much. It's sexy, it's edgy, it has an aesthetic that is very cool,
and
it has a lot of sort of it's got some really kind of like dark ideas. But when you sort of hold it up and sort of scrutinize it a little bit, you're sort of like, these don't actually make any sense, and a lot of them are kind of conflicting, and they don't seem to go anywhere. And I feel like it doesn't feel like the movie Cronenberg wanted to make. In fact, he has said it's not the movie he wanted to make, but it does feel like he had some ideas that he just didn't get to actually flesh out.
Yeah.
What if they did? What if he went back with AI?
Oh,
no, thank you.
He would never.
I know, but could you imagine? Because they could do it.
He could just remake it. He remade Crimes of the Future.
But you could have all those. You could have all those characters. Debbie, everyone. They're just literally because it's about
with their weird hands.
Yeah,
they'll have weird hands and a wonky eye.
So Harlan opens the door and brings in Barry Convex. And this whole time, Harlan has been playing videotapes for Max. They never actually cast Videodrome over the air. Harlan was a plant to get Max involved in the Videodrome program. Barry and Harlan explain.
This feels like it's all a dream rug pull, doesn't it? Where you're just like, none of what you saw was real.
Well,
like,
it's
get the fuck out of
like,
here.
How long has Harlan and Max known each other?
2 years.
2 years.
Did it say that? Did it?
Two wonderful years.
Yep.
Yep. So, Barry and Harlan explains that things are getting tough out there in the world, and the decadent West doesn't have the stones to keep up and be tough. To trim out the degenerate people who are dragging the West down with them, they intend to broadcast Videodrome on CIVIC-TV to kill off the freaks and perverts, leaving only the disciplined and pure men of the West to leave everyone into the savage future.
This makes me interested.
He talks like fucking J.D. Vance.
He does, and I don't know much about Canadian politics at this particular time. This is sort of post-Trudeau.
I was going to say, I thought it was Trudeau at this time.
83 might still be. But it's that idea of like, it's the welcoming, or the sort of the melting pot, the very welcoming society. There are decent people. But I don't really know what the blowback to that was. Like, there must have been some, but.
Oh yeah. We tend to romanticize Canada on this show, but they have their own dalliances with fascism.
Yeah. It's all in the middle part.
So Max, outraged, is about to leave when Barry produces one of those pulsing Betamax tapes.
Oh, and he just can't resist. It's so sexy.
Stuffs it into Max's throbbing gussy.
Ah, yuck.
The tape presumably contains his new orders. Go to Channel 83 and kill your partners.
And Max is like, okay.
Yeah. So he leans against the wall and reaches into the gash, removing the gun that he left in there last time he had a freak out. He watches his hand produces these spiked cables which wrap his hand around the gun, piercing his flesh, unable to put it down.
Now, see, I think I know where Rick Baker could have saved some money. This fucking dumbass handgun.
Oh, no, I love it. Because he
it
had
looks so bad.
He had designs for this gun that was going to have like eyes and a mouth and a foreskin.
And I think, hey, you know what? I like that Rick Baker's he's pushing himself. He's really feeling himself.
I get the feeling that like when Cronenberg came along, Baker was like, oh, let's go.
He probably was giddy.
Well, and they wanted another transformation type sequence because American Werewolf, and I don't know if he would, no, he probably hadn't won the Academy Award yet, but
I think he had.
Yeah,
It was
would
81.
it have already come out by
That would have been the I think the Academy Awards in 82.
Yep.
Would have been the one. Yeah.
Because that's really, because that's the only sequence, where you see something, because the vagina slit, the stomach slit is like, we see it red and itchy, and then it's just open. But that whole,
but it's another one of those things that doesn't make a lot of sense because we haven't seen anything like this yet. We've seen the gut thing, but like, it's biological. This is a mechanical looking thing. And so far to this point, we haven't really seen any of that integration of people and mechanics. So it comes out of nowhere with no explanation other than Max is just kind of losing his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he heads over to CIVIC-TV, barges in on a meeting where his partners are watching some new prospect for the channel. And as soon as they see him, he produces the pistol and shoots both men. And everybody pours into the room so they can see what happened. And Max tells Bridie they killed us. And apparently both of the men were supposed to explode with tumor growth like Barry Convex's death. So Max runs out the back door into an alley and flees the scene, heads over to the cathode ray mission with orders to kill Bianca Oblivion. He breaks in through the back and finds her expecting him among the empty cubicles. He introduces himself as if they hadn't met before. And
what's up with that? Like, why is he starting this conversation over again?
I don't know. I assume it's because he's been programmed now.
He's the new Flesh. I do love that little, it doesn't go on long, but I love that little cat and mouse where
it's a cool scene.
It's so cool. And then she's ducking, and then all of a sudden it's like, push play,
And then she's gone.
Yep. He chases her through the mission. The gun hand is now this slimy, mutated biomechanical horror. Thinking he has her cornered.
What's Bianca's objective?
She is the opposing force to Videodrome.
Because what's a typical day for Bianca Oblivion? We never see, we get their whole fucking villain monologue. I would like a Bianca Oblivion monologue.
Yeah.
And one that is, shady as it.
Yeah, her whole thing is I'm just waiting on their ass, because they got my dad, and I'm just here with dad, keeping dad alive.
Yeah, she's keeping dad's memory alive, and I guess vengeance homeless. And feeding the homeless with TV.
Yeah. So thinking he has her cornered, he throws aside the cubicle and finds a video of Nikki being murdered on Videodrome. The signal turns to static, and a gun reaches out from behind the membrane of the TV screen, stretching it outward. Turns into a veiny horror of flesh, the gun appearing like Max's own mutant weapon, and shoots him. And it changes to the appearance of his own wounded torso.
I mean, at this point, if you're watching it for the first time, you're just like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah, just go with it. And just go with it now.
It starts back with Barry Convex, because I keep thinking, is that the scene where his shirt magically opens in the wind? It's like a high fashion.
Yes.
And I'm going, now is this... That has to be a hallucination, right?
So
it's so weird.
I think from here on out, he had a different idea for how he wanted to end this movie. And for one reason or another, they were like, no, it's not going to work. So he's rewriting the whole thing as they're ending the movie, which is why it has this bizarre ending that just feels kind of like falls flat on its face.
Or I don't know if it's like if fever dream is, but it is kind of like we're just going with it.
Yeah, he's probably just like, fuck it. Yeah. We're all in. It's a Halston show at this point. Let's do it.
I'm cool with it. And I have to say, I do like the idea that she go ahead, the reprogramming.
Yep. So Bianca explains that her signals changed their programming and that he's ready to ascend to his new form, the video word made flesh. She gives him new orders: turn against Videodrome and destroy them. Death to Videodrome. Long live the new flesh.
But I mean, we could have done this a long time ago. She could have done this the day she met him. We could have avoided all of this.
In the morning, Max heads back to Spectacular Optical and chills out next to a vagrant who powers
when
a
we
small
see
TV.
My favorite character in the entire movie, this Jamaican guy.
Brawley.
Who's just like, it's a very tricky grind.
I love him. It plays a news report of Max's murder spree while the guy begs him for money. So Max goes into the shop and evades the salesman, going into the back and finding Harlan there. Satisfied that Max carried out his mission, Harlan explains that Barry is at a trade show in town, but he has some new orders and produces a new tape. A terrible fleshy Betamax tape that he stuffs into his torso vagina.
Nothing gay about that.
There's a problem, though. Harlan's hand gets stuck, and when he manages to remove it, he's horrified to find that he's been transformed into one of those fleshy stick grenades, which explodes, blowing Harlan to pieces and a huge hole in the back wall. Then Max casually leaves through the hole and heads over to the trade show. He enters the function room as the spring line is introduced via a ridiculous dance number involving some Renaissance artists that dress down and perform a real sexy
and a
jazz
couple
number.
real fancy queens.
Okay, yeah.
The guys in those jumpsuits.
Listen, I have been obsessed with whatever the fuck is going on, because you know what? It would be the equivalent of an industrial,
Yeah.
Where
this
they hire
the weirdest. The fucking weirdest trade show ever.
But remember, you talked about like what period the executioner is from, and then all of a sudden they're doing this whole De Medici, like this Shakespearean. Because if you see, there's a reveal.
I was thinking like Brady Variety Hour.
Well, in the very background, you see like the violins are playing, and the actors on stage are like the Capulets. And they're opening something, and then as soon as the eyeglasses are revealed, it's like dun 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 dun, dun. And then it's pot of berets and layouts, and those helping girls that are back there. And the weird thing is, there's this Brian Ferry song that was a non-LP B-side called "Feel the Need." Every time I hear that, because it opens up with strings, I always go, oh my God, I want to get that footage of the dancers in Videodrome and re-edit it with the Brian Ferry, because it's so bizarre and horrible, but I love it. It's great. I just love.
It's so fucking funny.
You know me, and I know you.
Some guy in the audience goes, "Yeah, we know you."
I just feel like everyone's giving up at this point.
Yeah. So Max stands up, mutant gun ready, and chases Barry around the stage. He corners him and shoots him several times. Barry falls to the stage and his body erupts in an explosion of tumor growth. Max announces death to Videodrome, long live the new flesh, and fucking takes off.
Now, my other favorite thing, I'm sure you guys have picked up on this, he throws the microphone down, and then as he's leaving, you can still hear Barry going,
oh, it's so awesome. This death scene is so fucking awesome. This left such an impression on me because I felt it's so gross and graphic that I felt like I was watching something that I really shouldn't have seen at that age. Because it's like his body like splits and tears open and just massive.
Yeah, it's like The Last of Us.
And I never got it was like years later that I read, and they're like, and cancer explodes. And I was like, oh, is that what that weird white stuff was? But, and that makes sense that he would be full of cancer because he's, been around the Videodrome stuff. But when you think about his partners, that they said when he assassinates his partners, that it was supposed to also be cancer.
Right. Why would they have
Why
been?
would they be poisoned?
Okay, so I read this. It's they don't elaborate on it because they never really make it clear. The bullets that gun is shooting are growths.
Okay.
It's tumors. It's not bullets anymore.
Okay, I got you.
So some of this stuff does kind of come back in existence.
Well, I love the whole gun, like the handgun. I love when they're eating the chicken and then all of a sudden she's put this whole gun, so that's why it just reminded me so much of Videodromes. I'm going, oh, this is, virtual reality.
He's definitely recycling some ideas there.
Yeah. So he finds his way to a derelict port at the harbor, taking shelter in a rusting tugboat coming to rest on a filthy mattress.
Okay, so here is how the movie was supposed to end.
Okay, because I have notes. I have notes for that, but let's do it now.
All right, so it was going to be. Oh my God, what's Debbie Harry's name?
Nikki
Brand,
and I think the other one was Bianca Oblivion, and they were going to have the sort of like the phallic hand things, like a bigger version of what she has in Rabid, and they were, I believe, going to fuck him with his, because he's got his gut thing. And so that was kind of how it was going to end. And I don't know if they were all going to die or something, but like it sounded, I don't know what the point would have been.
Well, it sounded like Bianca would be programming for good, Nikki programming for evil.
Okay, I
guess somehow so. They're just, which to me, that's an interesting concept when you think about, I'm a straight guy. that these two women
So
have
that's what I
taken
mean
over
about
and are raping his body to the point that you're dead. You know, you're dead.
Yeah, he's got
done.
Harlan shoving a videotape in there. He's got himself shoving a gun in there. You've got the thing in Rabid. You've got the gay sex scene in Crash. It's like, you know, for a straight guy, you seem to have a weird fetish for dudes getting fucked one way or another.
I don't even remember a gay sex scene in Crash.
Oh yeah,
See,
Elias Koteas and
that
James Spader have sex in the car.
That didn't even appeal to. I was just like, oh god.
Yeah, and like I said, when he talks about it, because he does talk about it a lot in this book, but when he talks about it, you don't get the feeling that he's being homophobic. He's just sort of stating a fact as though you're supposed to understand something about him when he says that. And of course, it's like, well, yeah, that's like the default for everybody. You're not really explaining anything to me right now. I just think it's weird that you feel the need to keep saying that and then do this shit in your movies.
So he's suddenly addressed by Nikki, appearing to him on his own console TV, which has magically appeared in the tugboat. She'll be his guide to the next phase. To destroy Videodrome, he has to give up his body and take on the new flesh. She shows him how to do it. He watches a video of himself in the tugboat. He kneels down before a small campfire, puts a gun to his head, declaring, "Long live the new flesh." He shoots himself, and the TV suddenly erupts in a storm of gory entrails and organs.
Yeah, it's raspberry jelly and deli meat.
Fucking love it. He stands up, and just like the video, he puts the gun to his head and kills himself. Death to Videodrome. Long live the new flesh. Roll credits.
Now, wouldn't that last scene with Debbie Harry, wouldn't that have been something that would have been a reshoot?
That feels like him just being like, all right, this is my big finale. I'm going all out.
Yeah.
And then somebody at the studio was like, no, you are not doing this, David
It also feels like a little bit like Brian Oblivion's death. It feels a little like you obviously had something else in mind, because this is a pretty weak ending for a movie that has kind of been leading up to something spectacular.
The thing is as much as I love this movie, and I still do, I'm not moving on that. I do agree with your critiques of this. It is a million ideas going in a million directions. It's a bunch of like really fucking good ideas that are just so half-baked.
Well, it's like everything is like right when you get there and you're like, oh yeah, wait, oh, okay, we're over
then
here.
nothing.
Yeah, and then exactly.
Then some new idea.
They've killed him before you really find out, well, okay, and then he kills himself, you know, so it is this
right, like what is the new flesh now, because you've just killed yourself, so the new flesh is nothing.
The new flesh is he exists explicitly as a television signal is how he exists.
I don't know, I do think it's a good movie. I enjoy it. It hasn't aged that well, and it's just all over the place.
It's the fact that it concerns itself so heavily with videotape and UHF TV.
That's the part where I think
plants it very firmly in 1983.
But the concepts are very prescient.
Oh, sure. You can very easily apply all of this stuff, all of this Marshall McLuhan stuff that he was trying to express with this to the sort of social media age very easily.
And that's because Marshall McLuhan's ideas, they were about communication. And media, and not necessarily about just that
in his time, television was the most convenient. But he absolutely did predict what was coming next, and the way that information and communication could be weaponized politically. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's, for me, I mean, really, the appeal for me, I freely admit, is just I saw this at a time in my life when I was taking in a lot of this stuff for the first time. I was the perfect age, and it appealed to every weird libidinal ship that was sort of creeping into my life as a 13-year-old.
That's what I mean when I said I could see why this would appeal to younger people, because it is very, like, darkly sexy in a way that feels very forbidden.
Yeah. And my thing with Cronenberg as one of my favorite directors is just that he's such a fucking smarty pants that he can make a movie that's all fucking sex and gore, but it also has this kind of highfalutin philosophy to it.
But you know what? This one falls short just where all of his other ones do. The thing I love and that drives me crazy about him is that David Cronenberg almost gets it. He's just right there on the edge. He almost gets what he's doing, and then he just misses the fucking boat.
We said that with the Brood. The Brood is a reflection on his.
Where he's just like, it's about divorce. It's like, yeah, man, it's about your divorce.
No, but it wasn't. It's. You could tell that he's starting to figure it out. What is my role in the divorce?
Right.
And then he completely fucks it up in the end. But you're almost there, David. You almost had it.
But he's so original. He's so wildly original. Nobody
made movies like this, because like everybody else, all of his contemporaries, Romero and Tobe Hooper and John Carpenter, they all made movies that were sort of like direct references to the movies that made them, because they're all a bunch of hot like movie dorks. Cronenberg stuff is so patently original and so like, somebody could put a movie on that's a Cronenberg movie and not tell me, and I would just fucking know off the bat,
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is. I fucking love this movie though. I think it's my favorite of his. It's one of my favorite of all time.
It's messy and chaotic. It's a fun watch though.
Yeah.
Do we know how much did Videodrome make at the box office when
about
it was
$2 million? About $2 million.
$2 million.
Yeah. $2 million on a $6 million budget.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I was just and as I still am, just so invested in Debbie Harry and her whole career. I just remember thinking, oh, it was a failure. And then and even as a fan of Blondie, then I found out the band broke up, and I'm telling you, it devastated me. I cried when that group broke up, and then he got sick, she disappeared. She did a Broadway show in 83, but it was 86 before she had an album out. So it's also, this kind of film served as yet another nail, almost like a nail in the coffin of her career. Her career ended after all this. It should have blown.
It's a shame. She's great in this.
She's fantastic. She is probably the brightest spot in the entire movie.
Yeah. I think that's what's so kind of magical about her, that is, there are just certain artists that are really, really special. And I think if we were to look back on this, she should be the one that is like, see, you wrote me off like that. I couldn't act, that I was too weird, because he had to really work with her too, because as someone who also comes from the stage, that's why I never did a lot of TV, because I was always told, it's like, you're too big. You're just, you're too big. So you need someone to direct you correctly. And maybe that's also why she comes off as very muted. You know what I mean? And the thing is, because she was trying to not be that one way or another, that punk. Because even though Blondie was a pop band, their spirit was punk and their attitude was very punk. So, she could have been the opposite too.
All right. Well, Connie, thank you so much for joining us. You know a lot about Debbie Harry. You know a lot about Videodrome. This has been illuminating.
Well, anytime. I love talking about film, and you can see my
it just keeps going.
And that's just the DVD and VHS. So I'm up for discussing anything.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you? Anything you got going on? Anything you want to plug? Now's the time.
I'm at Real Love Connie. I'm mostly only active on Instagram, but I'm always on there. My podcast, we've done 3 seasons. We usually do 10 episodes a season. So it's usually just I'd love to do it more, but right now we just kind of are doing a once a year thing. And that's through World of Wonder. And that's the I Feel Love Connie podcast. And I've done I did one episode on the Poseidon Adventure. Mostly it's been very about things growing up that I feel influenced my drag persona, and things like the Poseidon Adventure was at Halloween, the Brian De Palma. I did a whole Brian De Palma series. So that, and the grand finale is actually a film we did in New York back in November. If you're, I say it's trauma adjacent, because Lloyd Kaufman has a part in it. He plays. He sees my character on a subway, and he's whacking off while looking at me. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, we picked him up at his Upper East Side apartment, and we literally all just walked down the street to the subway, went in there, and stole all the shots with this guy. Debbie Rochon is in it from Tromeo and Juliet.
Yep.
And it's kind of a giallo inspired. I mean, who knows? Who knows? We shot it 16 days with a group of Australians, and hopefully it'll get out there this year at film festivals and stuff. So again, I marvel at my age that I still get to partake in a show business career. I'm really thankful, and even doing stuff, like this podcast. I love cinema. I love being a part of it. I love talking about it. I love living with it. I always thought I wanted a sunken living room like Mary Tyler Moore had on her TV show. I didn't realize I would actually be living in the sunken living room. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, with Videodrome in the bag, Dave, what's next?
Well, next week, 99 Cent Rental is back with the very, very tired Charles Bronson in Death Wish 3. And in 2 weeks, Bring Me the Axe will return. We are celebrating Black History Month with the horror anthology Tales from the Hood.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week with Death Wish 3. It's going to be something.
My God.
And then
Deborah Raffin is the leading lady in that, isn't she?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, Death Wish 4, The Crackdown is with Kay Lenz, so I love my Bronson leading ladies.
Yeah. And we'll be back in 2 with Tales from the Hood.